Janet. Right. And Annie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
The person's in the back. This is where I usually sit.
Jamie.
Jamie, nice to meet you.
Andy, where are you in from?
Lake of the Ozarks.
That's right.
And you are?
Yeah.
And Gibson, nice to meet you. Yeah, I drove in this morning. I was like, at what point do I get coffee? So that we have this at the right point today. How long have you been doing this, Tom?
That's May.
Since May?
Yeah.
Let's go. So you started like right in the spring, so you could just kind of dive in and start putting units on the board.
That's right.
Yeah. How'd that go?
I mean, I'm close to 3 o'clock. So I'm
Nice.
not skilled it yet, but working on it.
Well, you weren't skunked this year, right?
That's right.
There are a lot of people who've been doing this a lot longer than May, who skunked this year, man.
I'll also have it on, so if you need anything, just say, hey, Jan, come here, and I'll come here, or I'll come
So
in.
you'll be able to see me?
Huh?
So how long does it take for you to get into your office?
Like zippity doo dah, just.
I need to know how long it's gonna take before I reach out and say, hey, Jan, can you come in here? Does it take 10 seconds for you to get sat down?
Probably, yeah. Depends on where I'm at, but usually about 10, or I can come in as
Unless you don't.
voice of both, and,
Depends on how much work is in that voice when you ask. her.
yes. There's that.
Hey, thank you for all your help, Jan.
I'm gonna go tell everybody too that it's started.
We'll give everybody a few more minutes.
You going back to Laura tonight?
Yeah, my son has a basketball game at 4. So I'm going to be driving fast.
Yeah, my daughter has a wrestling tournament in Camden tonight.
Tonight? So you're going too?
Oh, no,
Oh,
she's just the manager.
yeah.
My niece wrestles, but my husband's having surgery Friday, so I'm getting everything ready for that.
My wife and I live in Camden.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's where I left from this morning.
So how old is your son?
My oldest is a freshman in high school.
That the one that has a basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. My son opted to not play basketball this season. He's played every season as a senior this year, but really.
Senior.
Yeah. Plays baseball and runs cross country and plays basketball, but he's focusing on baseball because that's what he's going to do in college. So he decided to skip basketball so that he could do this season baseball. So we kind of have a nice little break that I mean, just watch this one.
I know. It gets a little
Bittersweet.
exhausting, right?
That's pretty much.
Yeah.
My place travel.
Yeah.
My oldest plays travel, softball and school ball, and my middle plays volleyball. And then the little one has a son. She wants to.
How many children do you have? 3?
3 hours.
3 daughters.
Yes.
You and I have some things in common. It seems like I have 3 boys, so I'm the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, how old are you? Freshman.
Freshman, 4th grade, 1st grade.
Okay, you have that freshman, 3rd grade, kindergarten.
Yeah, see, we're on the,
Well, I have 3 kids and mine are older.
Yeah, Lori's on the later.
I'm on the way out. I'm on the empty nester stage.
and remind me one more time, what's your name again?
What do you want it to be? Jamie.
Jamie, there we go.
You won't forget now.
She's in the office. Oh, no. Nikki's in there too.
Are you from Camden area?
No, I'm actually I'm from a smaller town in southeast Missouri, not too far southeast. It's called Viburnum, Missouri. You ever heard of Viburnum?
Yeah,
Yeah. Not many people have, my friend, but that's where,
I'm
That's
from St. Genevieve.
Yeah.
New people From by Burn at one point.
Little mining town.
Yeah, well, all those, that whole corridor through there, Farmington, Flatboro, now it's Park Hills, Bismarck, all of that. It all struggled once the mine shut down, but my brother still has an open mine, don't?
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Doe Runs is, that's the only economic source in that area.
Yeah,
A lot of lead mining. Drink a lot of lead. in
And
that
here's the
water.
packet for today. That's kind of what he's gonna be going over.
a lot of
So just
battery.
grab a seat and
Yes.
listen, you're welcome.
Two more minutes. How many people do we have in the Zoom world today? There's a few on there, right? So the way that we're gonna get the most out of this is if it's more of a roundtable situation instead of just me sitting in front of you guys preaching. So the more I can get back from you guys, the easier it's all gonna be and it won't be as boring, so. How many people in here are rainmakers? You know what I mean by that? No. Are you a single agent? Are you on a team?
Yeah, team.
Okay, so how many people are here on teams? Let's just start with that. All right, so we have a few team members, single agents. Right, and then anybody that actually runs a team. That would be like the Carolyn of that team. You're on Carolyn's team, is this true? Yeah, anybody, so that's what I would consider a rainmaker, something like that. So I think it's important for us to be able to figure out like, okay, well, what are we really trying to focus on today?
I was looking for Peter.
You're good? We said that we'd start at 11:05.
Okay, well, Rob got his on, so there you go. Ramona's on, Deb's on, so you got several on Zoom.
You have your packets? The back 2 pages of this packet. Let's take out those 2 pages and I set them there because we're gonna need them here at the beginning. Okay, so I'm Andy Gibson. I sell real estate out of Lake of the Ozarks. I guess I'm supposed to tell you guys what I've done so that you know whether or not I've earned the right to be able to sit in front of you guys and do this. The answer to that is I probably haven't, but I understand this stuff really well. I am a team leader of Gibson and Grind. That's my real estate company within Keller Williams. Every year that I've been in business with Keller Williams, I have grown. I've been licensed since 2010. So I'm approaching year 15. So not me, Tom, right? But probably not as long as others. This year, if you guys are curious, we're sitting at around 50, well, not around, we're sitting at 54 million, 140 closed units. We sell a lot of real estate, right? And we're very proud of it. We're in a second home or a second living community, kind of like you guys are. So you get a lot of resort buyers and those kind of things. And I think that we could all kind of build businesses together and be able to build a path together to help you guys. I think we could do that because I've done so and I've helped a lot of people do that. Does that sound good?
We have a note on the wall up there.
Is requesting to record this meeting. Hey, Carolyn.
Do we want to, hey, good morning. Do we want to allow this guy to record this meeting? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
If you see anything in that, if you want, Lauren, you want to be in charge of that? Should have started at 11:10 because we knew Carolyn was going to be about 10 minutes late. So, okay, where was we? Where were we? Let's see here. So in other words, yes, we sell a little bit of business at the Lake of the Ozarks.
Did anybody do an introduction for you, or would you like for me to do one, or?
I was just kind of doing it myself. I'd really rather
You'll
not
be
talk
very
about
long.
me too much, but I understand, like, if I'm sitting in a class, I want to know who's teaching it and whether or not they've earned the right to teach it. It's important to me. And I think that you guys should feel the same way. So Carolyn, if you want less than 2 minutes, please, and then let's get to this.
So, let me tell you what the value be. I'll be real short, I promise. He doesn't believe that, but
It won't be.
I'll text him and say, got a minute? And he goes, more like an hour and a half, so. So Andy joined us at Lake of the Ozarks, what year?
2017.
We opened in 2015. Andy joined us in 17. I think was very suspicious about us. But he came over and he very much bought in on what he was taught on building his business. He ran it like clockwork. He ran it better than any of us teaching him. He was awesome. He had his team run it like clockwork, and I've watched his business grow. It's insane, the business that these people do. And he's been very disciplined, and he has guided the team. And his partner, they are very well known at the lake. They are very well known across the country with KW. And he just does it right. And all I can say is, you learn from experience, and this guy is experienced. And that's why I asked him to come and do this, because I see when he does them over there, people really like hearing from him and hearing about his, they've seen his progress and seen his path, and he's been very willing to share that. But he's very well respected in the community. He is very well respected in our company and in our local office. So he has a lot of knowledge. So if you just tap into part of what he says, your business will definitely improve. But, and on top of that, he's pretty much a great guy. And he's one of my business partners at the lake. So I think you will definitely learn something from him today that will help your business. So.
Or maybe not. I mean, let's hang on. All right. Figure it out. Let's kind of get started here. We can get this to work. Are we gonna yell at you already?
You need me to run the computer for you?
Maybe. The clicker's not working. Dan? All right, so turn to page 7, if you could, in your little packet. We'll just kind of dive into this. Does anybody have any questions about my business before we get going? Good. All right, you see where it says, where am I today? We're not going to be in this packet very much today. Like, we may not even be working on this slideshow very much today. It's going to be kind of more about what we want to get out of this. So I hope that you guys are okay with us kind of being off book. Is that fair? All right. That's where we're really going to learn the most. Like, Andy, how is it that you guys run this business? How did you break through this ceiling? What did you do? Those kind of things. That's what I want to hear from you guys today. You're going to get the most out of those kind of things. I'm sorry, Jan.
If it doesn't work, I'll come up there and you can tell me when.
All right, so where am I today? I create and use business plan as a daily, monthly, annual, and long-term guide to run my business. I have created a business plan and intend to learn to understand and use it more effectively. I am fairly new to real estate and new to business planning, or I am on a team and I am new to business planning. Take a minute, check a box, and I want to know which box you guys are.
Did you go over any of this stuff?
No, not yet.
Okay, you need,
As long as the clicker works.
it doesn't work now. It worked. There we go.
Let me get through this. Do you know what box you are? It's gonna help us with this class today. Lori,
I'm gonna be probably box number 2, maybe in between 1 and 2.
fairly new to real estate and new to business planning.
No, I created a business plan and I intend to learn and understand it,
Okay.
but I do plan daily, monthly.
Nice.
I'm not very good at following it. That's why
Yeah.
I'm in between.
Yeah. So you're all of us, right? Who has a plan in here already? You have a plan?
Well, like my GPS plan.
You have a GPS?
Mhm.
You brought your GPS?
Well, yeah, this is what we're here for right now.
Let's go. Did anybody else? Look what you're doing to them. Look, okay. She needs to teach us well.
Okay.
How long have you been doing?
I'm new to real estate. I've been here for 2 months.
And you have a GPS?
Oh, yeah.
She's a
Carolyn,
great coach.
yeah. I have a great team, so.
She's on the team with us.
The GPS is one of those sheets that I had you guys, did you see it out in front of you? We'll get to that here in a second. All right, just make sure you have that GPS. That's what we're talking about that she has filled out. So does anybody else have a plan in place? It doesn't have to be on this GPS. No? Then you're gonna get a lot out of this, I believe, because if we don't have a plan, we're just kind of spiraling in a circle. And, all right, let's see here. Does anybody know your numbers? Tom, you said you closed 3 units this year, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, did anybody else want to share? Jamie, I know your name.
I did not bring the numbers.
Okay,
Yeah, I couldn't.
we are gonna get so clear on our numbers today. All right, or at least you're gonna have a path on how to get clear on your numbers today. All right. Let's see here. What if I ask you the amount of money I need to pay, or what's the amount of money you need to pay for your lifestyle and how to get out of debt? Would anybody know what that exact number is? Yes? No?
Yearly or monthly?
Just what it like, how much does it cost to pay your, well, I mean, if you know it yearly, you know it monthly, right? So do we know what it costs? I call it a burn rate. So do we know what it costs to be able to build that in? Do we know what it costs to be able to run your life and to get out of debt? If you don't know what that is, we need to know that as well. All right. So let's just kind of get to this class. Carolyn, do you want to do the disclaimer stuff? So
Sure.
don't call people that don't want to be called. Make sure you're following all the rules there. Let's see here. If we talk about commissions in here, we're not talking about averages. Make sure you understand that all commissions are negotiable and all of that fun stuff that we've been going through. Sound good? Everybody cool? All right. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. So some of us have a business plan and some of us don't have a business plan. If we're just getting started in real estate, Tom, you're just getting started, right?
Yep.
Who else is just here a year and under? Okay, so some of us are just kind of getting started. How did it feel? Did it feel like you want to chase this thing, or I see a lot of people on social media doing this thing, or this guy's doing this thing, and I want to do all of it, right? So you get super, you're like, you know what, I have all the creativity in the world. I just want to be able to jump up here and get started. I have all these ideas. Well, what that does, whenever you start that direction, that's the foundation that you're building, and it's going to fall on its face, I assure you. It will fall on its face. What's the first thing you did as soon as you got into the business?
Look for open houses.
Look for open houses? What about you?
Just going through the classes.
Going through the classes, so you started learning?
Yeah.
All right, that, what about you? Train. Train? Yeah? Tom?
Training and looking for ways to find leads.
So if we're looking at that and looking for ways to find leads, you have to go be able to get your business. We need to have a model in place, right? So we're going to find it, we're going to chase that model. And then only then, after we have our models in place and we're following these systems, should we start to get creative, in my opinion. Right? Everybody wants, like, we all have egos, and sometimes that gets in our way. And what we should really focus on is that model to be able to put some things into work and into action and have a really boring business. Right, Carolyn? What a
This is boring.
super boring business. So that way we can earn the right to be able to go off and branch out and maybe get a little creative a little bit at a time. But you're going to have to earn the right to do so. And the only way that that's going to work is if we start by putting together a plan. Agreed? Unless you guys have like the best plans ever already, but you might not be in this class. Maybe you two have the best plans, Miss overachievers over here with your GPSs.
Thank God for Carolyn.
All right. How do we get rid of this stuff, Carolyn? Can you guys see it on your sheet? You guys have this sheet in front of you? You can turn a couple pages here. No, I don't think they're gonna have some. Let's see if I can get rid of this stuff.
If only we had people here that were good at technology, because I am not.
Is that more button there?
Is there a full screen in the corner?
Let's see here. Nope. More. Nope. All right, it's okay. We'll get through it. All right, so what it's showing you is here, you're starting a business over on this side. I don't know if I can show you in mine. So we all have our natural ability, right? That's what it says at the bottom corner that you can't see. So Lori, when you get started in this business, you have a natural ability to be able to probably make relationships last a long time. People like you and you're approachable. And so somebody might come up to you and say, hey, guess what? You should get into real estate. Or Tom, you might be a good facilitator of money or a good steward of your money. And so they're like, you know what, you need to make more of it, so you should get into real estate. So we all have certain natural ability, right? And I don't know if that's accurate, okay? Is it pretty close? Okay, all right, so your natural ability, you'll use that to get started and then you'll just kind of get going and then you'll be introduced to this training in foundational models. You put that into work a little bit, maybe you make 3 sales, maybe you make 5 sales. Then all of a sudden you hit a ceiling. And the only way that you're going to be able to get past that ceiling is if you truly look at that model and the systems and actually put them to work for you and create that really boring business. Once you do that, you'll be able to break through and then you'll get back to another ceiling. And you continue to do that over and over again, guys, right? But we're going to have to have a plan in order to get there. So we're going to do something that is really difficult to do. And if you guys did your GPSs before, stick with me. Maybe we can do it. Maybe we can do it a little bit better. Maybe we can help you with it. But we're getting ready to build your plan. So everybody get your GPS out. If I'm like a deer headlights up here, everybody's staring at me. We need to figure out what's going on here. We need to liven this up a little bit. GPSs. Have you ever heard of a big Y? Yeah, Carolyn here at the OP, I bet she shared that a little bit. Some sort of training at some point. You've heard of a big Y, right? Why is it that you're getting into real estate? Earn a living. Okay, retired. Does anybody here mind if I ask some questions? Anybody gonna get uncomfortable? Because I will stay clear of you if so, and I'll respect it. You don't mind? No, okay. So to earn a living. Why do you want to earn a living? Just thing that you want, financial free. Be financially free. What does that mean? Be able to travel, to eat. Be able to eat, that's an important one. Be able to travel. More of a luxury, right? Do you deserve it? I don't think so. Does your family? My family. Sure. You know, you're joking around until I said, does your family? And you go, yeah, they do, right? We can continue to go on to that until everybody's so uncomfortable. And I sat right here where James sitting about 6 years ago and got so uncomfortable, I started crying in front of all of my peers. I hated it.
I
Because
witnessed it.
this coach, I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I think at that point I was selling $15 million a year or whatever. And he started asking me questions like this. And I bailed people out right whenever I get to that point because I remember how it makes me feel. I'm not trying to do that, so but it does get really uncomfortable because we play a game called pain versus pleasure. And if you've ever gone into a bold or any of the KW trainings, I encourage you to do it and play that pain versus pleasure thing for you. Because what we did show you is during this conversation with, what's your name again? Mike. During this conversation with Mike, I would start asking those questions. Well, what is it going to feel like if you don't work hard enough to be able to make it so that your family that you said deserves this doesn't get it? And then how does that feel, Mike? And then that continues to go on and on until somebody asks that question, because a lot of times in our business and what we do every day, we think that we want something, but we're not willing to work hard enough or long enough at it to be able to make it happen unless somebody threatens to take something away from us, or somebody messes with something that we truly care about, which is our family. So the safe way to do this, or whatever your why is. So the best way to do this, and the reason why I'm bringing all this up, is that we have to figure out why we're doing what we're doing in a way that's so powerful that we won't stop doing what's hard to do every day. It's actually not hard. It's super, super easy. It's just nobody wants to do the boring grind every day. I was willing to do the boring grind every day, and that's what I was known in my market center. Probably why I've, more than anything, earned the right to be able to speak in front of you today. Because I would lead generate better than anyone else consistently every single day.
100%.
And so that gave me an opportunity to be able to grow through others and stuff like that, which we'll get to. But back to the whys, all right? Why are you guys doing it? Why are you in real estate? Yeah, sure. She's putting the deal.
For, yeah, financial independence, my children. is to
You have
live
children?
Yes, I have two.
You have two children?
11 and a 6-year-old, yep.
Let's go.
Yeah, both boys, so very active. We've traveled through 33 states already, so we plan to do more traveling. So just live a comfortable life, knowing that I am contributing to my children and my own success.
How much work are you willing to do for them?
I am willing to do whatever it takes, so a lot.
Can anybody else relate to that? But isn't it hard to articulate that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So we're willing to do whatever it takes, but we just can't figure out what words to write down on this business plan of ours. And so we touch it a little bit, and we think about it a little bit, and it becomes uncomfortable, and we stop. We're not gonna stop in here. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do this top portion of the GPS together, and I'm gonna bail you out on a lot of it, because for the sake of time, we need to get into the action part of this, which is where you're gonna actually be able to get it. Because I'm telling you guys, I've gone to so many KW classes, and I get so much out of it. But in some of those classes, I'm like, hey, guess what? I need to know how to make money. Right? Like, I can't, like, I love to learn, like, I want to learn all this, but hey, show me how to make money so that I can continue to learn and continue to make more money. So I'm gonna show you how to make money in here today too, I promise. All right, but for the sake of this, we gotta build a plan. What is your one thing for the year, which would be something after we figure out what it is our why is, we can then figure out what that one thing that we need to focus on throughout the year. Have you ever heard of goal setting to the now?
Yep.
You have, Tom? So how much money, let's say, Mike, just to speed this up for the sake of the class. Let's say you wanted to go on vacation, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out how much is enough, right? I don't like that word. Seems like a scarcity mindset word. That's the first thing we're gonna do, okay? We're gonna figure out how much is enough. So think about how much your bills are, your groceries, all those kind of things. You're gonna figure out how much is enough. This is my way of doing it. It doesn't necessarily mean yours, but we gotta get through this, all right? Then we're going to figure out, all right, well, if this is enough, how much at this point am I going to need? And I'm talking monetarily, okay, so financially, how much is that I'm gonna need to basically invest or all the money that I'm going to need. Vacations, the luxury side of everything, I'm gonna figure out how much money I need for the year to be able to put my year together. But have I earned the right to be able to do that yet, Carolyn? In my opinion, I need to know what it is that I want for my future. So, Mike, you tell me, Andy, you know what? I think that I need $80,000 because this is exactly what I need to live off of to have enough. And I'm gonna say, well, that's probably not the kind of business, I don't want the kind of life where I'm just gonna have enough. Screw that, all right, forgive me, but screw that. I wanna have enough money where I can build investments up, I can be able to fund the lifestyle that I think that my family deserves to have, right? So maybe that number looks a little bit more like 100,000 or 200,000 in today's market. Hey, what's up, man? So let's just say the number's 200,000. If you make $200,000 this year, would that feel like a good? That would feel like a decent year? Okay, it's relative. If you ask one person, they might be like, no, that doesn't cover my monthly bills. You know what I mean? I think that's a person, it's probably Carolyn. But in this case, sorry, Carolyn, in this case, $200,000, I think would be a good year. Do you think it would be a good year? Million? 200 a month? I love this. You see what I mean? We're all gonna have some sort of, for the sake of understanding this class, we're all gonna have a number. We'll probably use 200,000. Especially if it's year one in real estate. I think 200,000 is reasonable. Is 200,000 specific? Is it measurable? Probably want to write this down. Specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, and timely. Kind of going off the rails here, but we're going to need that later. Has anybody ever heard of a SMART goal? We can't plan a goal unless it's specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, and timely. But if we use 200,000, there's no way in the world that we've earned the right to say 200,000 unless in 5 years we want to be millionaires. All right, that's what goal setting to the now is. So at 5 years from now, Lori, you say, hey, you know what? I want to build a plan to make sure that I'm on track to be a millionaire in 5 years. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You might be a millionaire now for all I know, but I'm using you as an example. All right. So in 5 years from now, Lori's going to be a millionaire. So based on 5 years from now, how much money does she have to have at year 3 to be on track to be a millionaire at year 5? Stick with me on this. How much would you say is the right number? If she's trying to be a millionaire in 5 years, how much?
600K.
Okay, so $600,000. So based on $600,000, how much money does she need to have on year 1? 200,000, which is our annual goal now. So what you got to do is you got to project yourself in the future and say, look, our kids might need to have their colleges paid for, so they don't start off in the same hole that we may have started off when we were younger. Maybe that's something. So I'm going to project myself into the future, figure out this is all the money that I need to be able to carry on my life the way that I want it. I want to travel. I don't want to work until I want to be done whenever I'm at 60. I want to be done when I'm at 40. I want to be done when I'm at 75. Whatever that number is, we're going to start with the end in mind and work our way back. So that's that someday goal. So we're going to start all the way out and then we're going to come up with how much money that needs. We're going to put a dollar sign to it. We're going to figure out what activities it takes to get there. Clear as mud? Jamie? Carolyn? You understand this because we're in this a lot. But I can speak so quickly through this that you might miss how important this is. So for the sake of this, Lori wants to be a millionaire in 5 years. She's on track if she makes $200,000 this year. Is this correct? Would you guys agree with this?
Yeah.
All right, I need some
Yes.
back and forth here.
Need
All
some
right.
energy.
All right, so. What is the one thing for the year at this point? We're all building this together. We need it to be a SMART goal. So we're gonna write on this top line. And this is an example sheet, guys. This is not your goal.
He has a form in there, but I've got.
No, I had them all printed out.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so nobody else has a DPS for it. You guys don't understand how hard it is to create a GPS, and I'm getting ready to create the most important part of this GPS for you. You'll be able to have a business plan off of this. All right, trust me, it's valuable. So if we're pretending like we're Lori for a minute, and we're gonna have a goal of $200,000. All right, then what we would write on this line is, my one thing for the year is to make $200,000. And then I'm gonna ask you guys a question after you write that sentence down. With all of these things around it, is that a specific goal? Yes, is it measurable?
Yep.
Okay, is it achievable? That's a good question. If I asked you in May, Tom, you guys took out your license and you said, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm like, okay, between now and May 2024 and May 2025, you're gonna make $200,000. Would you have said, I think that's achievable?
With all the unknowns, I probably wouldn't have, but the reality of it is achievable if I'm willing to work to get there.
There you go. Anybody else think it's not achievable? If we sit here today and build a $200,000 plan to make for this year, or in 2025. We should have done this in October, by the way, so sorry I'm late, it's Christmas. It's just invited, all right? So $200,000, 2025, does that make anybody uncomfortable? Don't speak all at once.
No.
It doesn't? Make you uncomfortable? No. All right. I want to find somebody who it makes uncomfortable. Does everybody in here make 200 grand right now? Every single year? The only way that this is going to work is if we can trust a little bit in this room that there's not going to be judgment. You understand what I'm saying? And I mean that. Like, my first year of real estate, I didn't make $200,000. Carolyn, did you make $200,000 in your first year of real estate?
Nope.
And so some of you guys, this is newer, right? You guys just must be the best real estate agents that I've ever met before in my life.
I'll say this, I think it's more obtainable today than it was when I started real estate or 10 years ago.
Why do you think that is?
Well, for multiple reasons. I'm in a better environment to teach me how to do that. And it started by doing KW, but number two, prices. We sold a lot of $50,000, $60,000 condos and mobile homes. I sold condos for $39,000. You guys are not gonna sell very much at $39,000. I mean, our average prices have gone up so much. So the average real estate agent, when I started, Andy, their goal was $100,000 a year.
Right, my goal is to be.
And that's what all our goals were, you know, and so now 200,000 is the 100,000 of 10 years ago, and Jamie can kind of attest that too, because her mom's been in it. So it's much easier to go to these numbers fast.
Okay, so.
Hey, what makes you uncomfortable is when you figure out what it takes to make that 200,000.
But there's somebody behind me.
What
was that, Rob?
I said what makes you uncomfortable is when you figure out what you have to do to make the 200,000.
Ooh, okay. What do you mean by that, Rob?
Well, you actually have to work pretty hard to do that. You've got to do a lot of things right. You've got to be in front of a lot of people.
It actually makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I have other jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see what happens? Speak up and then here it comes. Everybody's like, yeah, you know what? Here, me too. It makes me uncomfortable too, because I'm coaching agents that are on my team that need to make this kind of thing. And whenever you become part of this, and we all do this together, then it becomes like, you feel like it's your responsibility too. So I'm deep in it constantly. And so there's a lot that we can talk about on that. What other things do you do?
Bookkeeping, I'm a consultant for QuickBooks for multiple companies, and then my husband owns a plumbing company. And I
Sweet.
work for him as well.
So why did you get into real estate?
We had a lot of properties that we had purchased over the years, and I've been selling and dealing with selling properties for quite a while, and I also had helped several people in one of my old jobs at a non-profit that I was doing bookkeeping for. That I just retired from. I did 20 years there, and I would help them clean up their credit, and it was kind of the next step with the people that I was working with there.
What was the next step?
Looking into buying houses, if you're getting
Oh,
their
okay.
credit repaired and getting them approved for housing.
Sure, so you might as well just have that and get to that.
Yeah, so start to finish. What,
So what would it take for you to be able to stop doing all of those other things and focus on real estate?
I don't know that I would want to.
So you're just using this as a tool to be able to serve the rest of them?
Mhm.
Is anybody else in here using real estate as a tool to be able to fund some other kind of career, or is this the career? Raise your hand if this is the career that you would like it to be, the only career that you want it to be. So can you raise your hands again? Because depending on how this is answered, this class goes in a completely different way. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for sharing that. All right, Rob, so you said it's the actions that it takes. Being able to say, hey, we're gonna make 200 grand this year is really easy to say, right? But like Rob said, now we gotta start putting some actions together. So what do you think priority number one would be if we're building a business plan? If I came to you, Lori, and I said, okay, we're gonna make $200,000 this year, what do you think the number one priority would be? Like, what would be the first thing, like, you didn't have any training around you, what would the first thing you'd do?
You need the business
my
leads.
goals.
Write down your goals, okay? That's what we're doing. We are writing down these goals right now, right? So inside your goals, we gotta, it's not just a question for you, it's just you're the closest, you sat here, I love it.
I want to,
So the priority number one, the most important thing to do, you said what, Tom?
Leads, you gotta generate business. Lead generate.
Regenerate, right? Okay, so I think every real estate agent in the world, and this will be the only section that you won't have a SMART goal here, because in my opinion, in the trainings that I've been to, this section, and I don't know how you guys are trained by Boss Lady, but in my opinion, my class, this is what I'm gonna say. This is, you're gonna write lead generation in your priority, because it is your priority. And it, until you've done these things, you haven't earned the right to do anything else in real estate, in my opinion. You've not earned the right to do anything for the rest of the day until you've lead generated, in my opinion. Because if this is the most important thing that we're writing on this list, and you can hear me say this, then why are we doing anything else at all? If this is truly the most important thing. If you find yourself doing other things, Mike, then those other things must be more important to you than this career. All right? Oh, well, my family, they needed me for this. Well, you should have woke up earlier and earned the right to go do what your family needed to happen. Because if you lose this career, this job, you're gonna be miserable because you failed at it. And then you're gonna be a worse parent later or a worse family member later. It will all tie into what we're doing here. We have to do this first so that we can be better in all phases of our lives, in my opinion. All right, so number one, the number one strategy for priority number one. What's the number one way you're gonna get leads? Huh?
Well, I mean, the number one way is reaching out to people, and whether it's in person or on the phone or email or looking at whatever resource we have for leads and referral and
Okay,
all things alike.
sphere of influence. Anybody else? Carol?
relationships,
What about relationships?
you gotta build those relationships,
Okay,
and that's hardest here.
you?
My first strategy is gonna be 20 conversations per day.
Well, that was super specific and like measurable and achievable and all of this, right? 20 conversations. That sounds like our GPS is back in my office as well. How many conversations do you have a day, Mike? Not that many, right? Tom?
5 to 7.
We have 20 minutes to get through these 5 things, and this is the most important thing that we will do today, and I'm gonna show you how to get into action on this, okay? So we're gonna kind of get this together, but this one thing that we're talking about right now will be the difference maker on whether or not you're successful in real estate. If you did nothing else and you went to play golf every single day, but you made sure you got your 20 conversations in, you would be so successful that you wouldn't be able to keep up with yourself. I know that for sure. Anybody disagree with that? You believe it? Why is it that we don't do it then?
Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection? That's fair.
It's a lot of work every day.
Is it though? How long does it take you? to Make 20 conversations, have 20 conversations?
It's easier to break it down, right? To, okay, I'm gonna have 5 phone conversations, then I'm gonna go to the grocery store, I'm gonna find 5 more people to have those conversations with. I'm gonna go to the Home Depot, or I'm gonna go to the chamber, or break it up so it doesn't feel so daunting.
That sounds like really good advice. What about you?
But how do you start? If you go to grocery store, how are you gonna start? You're gonna feel like, yeah, I'm gonna go, or,
Ooh.
I don't know, like, how you
This is
gonna
my
start?
favorite thing. Finally, guys. It took you 45 minutes. Well, I'm standing up here like a goof. You guys just sitting here staring at me. Okay. Now we can start learning this business. All right. So you guys are all correct. And we're going to answer that question. But for the sake of this, that number one priority in my, you guys need to focus on what you're best at. If you're best at open houses and you can run a professional open house, then that might be your lead generation tactic. That's your number one on your priority list. I don't think that that's what goes there. So it's not going to be what I write on the typical, what we're going to call the typical Lori making $200,000 example. All right. It's not what we're going to call it. So in this case, I'm going to agree over here on this side, and I'm going to say that we need to make sure that we are having 20 conversations a day. Now, before we write that down, here's what mine looks like. I'm going to have 10 conversations, 10 lead generation conversations a day for new business. And I'm going to, on the second line, I'm going to make 10 follow-up calls in a day. I want us having 20 conversations a day, but I want it to be 10 new to be able to try to find a new business and then 10 follow-up. What happens after 90 days if you've made 10 phone calls every single day to brand new people? What happens after 90 days?
900 new people.
It's 900 new people? Are you kidding me? Do you know what 900 people in your database, if you do it correctly, is going to make you? You're not going to believe me, huh? It's closer to 850, but if you do it correctly, $850,000. This is a whole different class for that, all right? Trust me. 10 conversations a day. So after those 10 conversations a day, are we going to have people after a week? We call 50 people. Out of 50 people, is there anybody to follow up with? Right? If we're a brand new agent, we've never done any business before. We're going to have people to follow up with. The follow-up is where your money lives. That's where you're going to make your money, is in the follow-up, but you cannot get follow-up business if you're not lead generating new business. Agreed, Carolyn? Agreed. All right, so 10 phone calls. Doesn't mean this is what yours is, but this is the generic copy. Fair? 10 phone calls a day. 10 follow-up phone calls a day. What does your calendar look like? So if we say we're going to do this, Mike, what is your calendar look like?
Walk off some time, maybe in the morning, where you try to get all those conversations in, maybe before the new conversations before 10 or 11. And then the rest of it is, like you said, when you go to the grocery store, when you're golfing or whatever.
I light up when you talk about golf, by the way, Mike. All right, so here's what my calendar looks like. All right. If you walk into our office, you're going to see everybody's doors closed. And it is against the rules, unless there's an emergency, to knock on those doors, knock on the office door, because we all are going to be doing our most important items for business between the hours of 9 and 11. That means that I'm not scheduling any closings, because if somebody schedules me a closing on my team and it's between the hours of 9 and 11, it just means they weren't proactive enough. Because I don't care if I have $1 million closing and I'm getting ready to make $30,000. I've already done the work for that. I need to be doing the work for the next $1 million deal that's coming in. So between 9 and 11, I am only lead generating, no matter what stage of the business I'm in. And if you guys can put that routine together, you're gonna be super successful. At 9 o'clock, you're ready, you have your call list together, you know what kind of new calls you're going to be making. So 9 to 10, you have the most energy of your day. Or whatever time you block off. 9 to 10 for me, I'm going to knock out everything, I'm gonna eat all my frogs, all the new people who I don't wanna call and get rejected. We'll talk about that in a second too, because that fear of rejection. I don't wanna call these new people because they're gonna tell me no or tell me to stop calling. Everybody has that fear? Anybody else? Does anybody have that fear?
Yes.
Yeah. It gets better the more that you do it. The more you realize that you just gotta get through all those no's to be able to find the yes. And if you can play games to be able to trick your mind or whatever it takes, the bottom line is you just gotta take action around that. Then you're to your second hour of where you're making your other 10 follow-up calls. The biggest thing for me is if I know that I'm calling you, Lori, and you hear from me, you better understand that I'm so busy, but I'm taking my time out of my day to call you because I have something of value to be able to provide you. And if you don't take my call and you don't listen to what it is that I'm offering, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And then flip that and understand that that's the power that you're providing somebody else. Do you guys believe that there are better real estate agents than you?
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask a different way. Do you believe that there's somebody who cares more about what happens to those folks than you?
No.
No way. So if you screw up, Tom, you're gonna make sure that you get it taken care of. Every real estate agent looks cool whenever everything goes smooth. The good real estate agents are there for whenever the screw ups happen and how they handle them. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
So every time you don't make that call, you're putting them in a position to work with somebody else that doesn't care near as much as you do. And you guys gotta understand that. You flip that mind frame and you switch that, and now you're coming from contribution and they need to take your call. Understand that. That will help you make those calls because you know that they need you. And if they don't need you, then you better be asking who it is that they know that might be. Because you're helping somebody today, and by God, you're gonna find them. And then you can go play golf, whatever you want to do.
And Andy, I think one of the deals about this 9/11 and me watching you in your business is discipline. You are so disciplined that you do this. And that's why you're successful. And that's what most of us fail at. And I'm guilty of it too. Being that disciplined, don't schedule a closing during my lead generation. That's what's made you so successful. And it's why you are so focused, because I see it all the time. People have lack of commitment. And sometimes I end up in the same boat and I didn't stay committed to something I said I was gonna do. That is why your business has gone to where it's gone, because you're committed. You block that 9 to 11 and you do it. And that's what I've seen is probably as all of us as real estate agents where we fail the most, because we don't stay committed in what we say we're gonna do.
You know why? Because we always want to do the fun thing instead of the thing that's necessary. Over and over again. Like, I don't want to do it. It's boring, I've done it every day, or I wake up and I'm in a bad mood, or the kids are doing something dumb, and then, no, I get to the office and it's like that conversation I had with you before I got here, it's like, hey, I just had this fierce conversation. I need a minute, Carolyn, before I come in to start teaching this class, because we all have it, you know what I mean? And so, let's get back to this GPS, all right? We got 10 minutes here, and then we'll kind of dig into taking action around it. All right, so that third strategy. What do we do next? So we've made 10 calls, it's 9 in the morning, we make our calls, we lead generate. And you're like, well, what do we say to people at the grocery store? Okay, we can help you with that. Let's do that at the break.
That's
Okay?
my big fear, like I know I can talk to my family, I have so many business for my family, but if I want somebody beside my family, I'm scared, I was like, how am I gonna start talking with them?
Yeah.
Even in my neighborhood, if I wanna talk to my neighbor, I was like, how can I start, you know? I don't know, that's my big fear.
So how do anybody want to help her?
I talk to everyone. If I'm in the grocery store and I'm in line and we're just waiting, I just strike up a conversation. And because we live in a tourist town, I always ask, are you local or are you visiting from out of town?
And then they go from there. It's that easy.
Done. Start the conversation. You know, what's the best way to start?
Smile.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised where that takes you, okay? The fear you have is that, what she was talking about before, is that fear of rejection. And you don't wanna look stupid. Not all of us have our egos that are in the way, and our egos are valuable, and it gets us to where we're going, but it can hurt us too if we let it get too much, because why do we care so much about, like, if we're really trying to help somebody, like, we're looking at it like, oh, this is only for us. Until you switch that mind frame and you look at, like, you know what, they may have somebody that I can help today. It gets a little bit easier, I promise. Right?
And why does it matter anyway? Because you're never probably gonna see that person again if they do just write you off, you know, so.
All right.
Go on with it.
Strategy number 3. So we're still in lead generation. What's the third strategy? Appointments? All right, so lead generation, that's how you get appointments.
Well, lead gen, nurture, and then appointment.
So I wouldn't put that in the same section, because these are all activities in which we're going to be getting those appointments. Okay, so these are the strategies on how to get that appointment. All right, so what's another lead generation activity?
I have, implement a social media market plan with 3 posts a week. With marketing insights or just valuable information.
Ooh, I love that. It was specific, it was measurable, but I'm not gonna put that there either, my opinion, right? Because I have a whole different section that's under database and marketing. And I would have that under that. Doesn't mean that that's wrong there, okay? Because you're different than me. But we're gonna have the typical, maybe what the highest producing agents would be, like, this is how, let's just say Gary Keller would come into here and go, guess what? I'm starting off today, I'm gonna make $200,000, this is what this is gonna be, so we're gonna use like what he would put on this, in my opinion, from the chain, all right? This mostly comes from how billionaires set goals and all of that, all right? So the third thing, might be open houses.
Yes.
You like? That's just one example. That's just an example, but let's go. I love the excitement.
Serious.
Okay? It might be open houses. Give me another example of lead generation. It could be going to the,
Cookies, we had events to attract new buyers.
okay? Could be going to the grocery store, like she said as well, right?
Yeah, just being in the community.
Community events. All right, so let's put 4 open houses a month. Just as an example. So much we have to do, and I just stop talking about this, okay, so 4 open houses a month, how does that get you, how does that get you leads?
Because they attract buyers.
And sellers.
And so, you got it, so do we just show up, put a sign in the yard?
No.
No? How do you guys do your open house? There's a difference between open houses and professional open houses, right? A big difference. If our team schedules an open house, which we have to do open houses. If you're a part of our team, you need to do open houses. And we say, okay, well, if you put this in the calendar and you give it to the administration team. And you schedule these open houses, if you're not knocking doors, 25 doors around those open houses to let them know that there's an open house in the community. And you're gonna be having drinks and cookies or whatever it is. And most likely nobody's gonna show up, and I would love it if you just come by. And keep me company. You think that they would show up? Sometimes they're gonna show up just to be nosy neighbors. But whatever that door knocking script is, you better be knocking around that open house, right? Are you gonna door knock around the open house afterwards? Hey, I'm sorry that you missed my open house. But if you ever want the opportunity to walk back through your neighbor's property, I'd love to give that to you so you can see what the market value is of something similar like your home. Is that valuable to people? All right. How many doors did we just knock around one open house? 50. You serious? Talk about the most aggressive way to go get business, and how much money did it cost us? Everybody wants to be really creative. Do you remember the triangle? and they want to spend a lot of money or they want to do these letter campaigns and they're just getting started in real estate and they can't afford to do so. More importantly, they haven't earned the right to do so. So why are we trying to chase all those shiny objects instead of doing the things like picking up the phone and asking people for their business, or going and knocking on a door and asking somebody for their business, or maybe a little bit more of a passive way that I don't like as much, which is the open houses that we talked about. Allow people to come in inside the home, then you get to ask them for their business, sign them in. But these are lead generation tactics, right? So the fourth one, I would write something like door knock 25 homes a week, or door knock 40 homes a week, whatever that needs to be. Something comfortable. So go ahead and put 40. Because if I'm going to do an open house every week, I'm going to host the open house maybe on a Saturday. I'm going to door knock on Friday. That's 20 homes. And I'm going to door knock on Sunday. Let them know that you're sorry that they missed the open house. It's 20 more homes for the following week. You can do it 40, however many you want around the plan. Just understand the plan. Do you guys agree that that is a super aggressive approach to get business? Or is it passive?
It's aggressive.
Super.
They've done something that nobody else is doing.
Who would be uncomfortable with knocking on doors?
I'm kind of uncomfortable. now.
Hey, me too. I'll be the first to say it, right? I don't like, that wasn't ever the way that I got business. So because I was uncomfortable with it, I've done it. I was decent at it, but I didn't like the way it made me feel, to be honest with you. All right? So maybe I'm weaker than the majority of you. I don't know. But you know what I had to do? I had to figure out how to be the best on the telephone, right? Like pick up my cell phone, call that way. So instead, I would eliminate the door knocking and focus on what I was really good at with the phone calls. So I would up that a little bit more, something like that. Does that make sense? So I'm not in here saying, hey, go knock on as many doors as possible. Make sure that you're following the rules, of course. And that's the only way you can get it. These are just examples. Does that make sense? How many doors have you guys knocked since you've been in business? Like 10. Like 10? Last week, did you hear Mark King say, don't go around digging 100 1-foot holes for oil? You know what that means? Don't go around digging 100 1-foot holes for oil. Did you hear some of this? And it stuck with me. A couple things did. And it's because you went and knocked on 10 doors, right? And you might have made a few phone calls. I heard you say 3 to 7 calls a day or something like that. And then you bounce to the other one because maybe those 10 doors didn't work. So I'm going to go on to the next, and then on to the next thing. And then I'm gonna run an open house and I'm just gonna put a sign in the yard, hope somebody comes in and buys it. And then we're on to the next because that didn't work. Because we weren't super purposeful with what we were doing. And we didn't find 2 or 3 things that we were super good at. And got really, really great at them. So find those lead generation things and do it. Build 1 or 2 100-foot holes for your work. Does that make sense?
Consistency.
And keep doing it, right? You don't know how many doors it takes for you to get a lead, because you stopped at 10. Oh, okay. When did you get your real estate license?
Last month.
Last month? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, you didn't stop it. So you're basically doing 2.5 a week.
Right.
Not gonna work,
No.
right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the idea. If Tom's doing it since May, he's not done 10, that's why I was trying to get Tom a hard time about that. So. All right, so we have one more strategy, right? To achieve. There where we're at. So we got the door knocking. What's one last final strategy? You guys have under lead generation, right? What's the strategy you guys want to do? Carolyn?
Well, I think we all have different personalities, so I focus on, like you said, do what you do best.
Right.
And mine is the people business, so mine's about, interacting with people. And always in that interaction, I'm looking for leads.
So it could be like, the people business, it could be your local chamber has events, right? Go in there and make sure you have a name tag on and talk to as many people as you can. But there's more to it after high, right? Once you go through and you get all those business cards from that social event and a little trick. Go to that social event. Get 50 business cards in your pocket before you leave, or 30, set a number to it. Make sure that they're personal conversations or purposeful conversations. And then the next day, you're entering every single one of them in command. And you're setting follow-up. Okay, well, now we have 30 freaking follow-up calls, right? You're setting up follow-up saying, I really enjoyed my conversation with you. Would you mind if we continued that conversation over coffee? I'd like to learn more about your business. Do you think that if you ask them about your business, that they won't ask you about yours over coffee? That's how relationships are built. You're just gonna be able to put the time in it. So something like that, maybe that's your 5th strategy. Okay, now, I promise you this. If you do these things on this list, you will make $200,000. Every single day you can do it. There's never been a year that I've done this every single day, and I was pretty good at it. Now my priorities are different, but for all those years, I was really good at it. It's really difficult to do, and I'm not gonna stand in front of you and say, hey, you're gonna have a perfect week every single week. But the more that you do this and the consistent, you make this part of your routine, you make it as boring as possible, you'll make more money than you can really deal with. And you'll be helping people more importantly. And that feels pretty good too. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Now, what happens if I want to run? What number is open house on there? What strategy? 3. Okay. What happens if I want to run an open house, but I haven't made my calls in that sheet? In my opinion, you haven't earned the right to do so.
Nobody can show up.
What's that?
Nobody can show up.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let's move a different one. Yeah, so. Strategy number 1. Should I do strategy number 3 before I do strategy number 1?
No.
Absolutely not. Because we haven't earned the right to do so. Because if strategy number 1 is actually the most important thing, then why would we be doing anything else? That's what you need to ask yourself. And if you find yourself doing strategy 5 first, every single day, then you need to move strategy 5 to strategy 1 and get really good at strategy 5. That makes sense? So watch what you're doing and check yourselves while you're doing it. You guys might find, how long your GPS has been created?
24 hours.
4 hours. Okay, I couldn't use that as an example, but you might find that there are other items on that sheet that you're completely ignoring because they make you uncomfortable. And I think it's a good thing to be uncomfortable, guys. You're gonna want to avoid, but you gotta get comfortable. Okay, does anybody need a break? When's lunch?
How do I ask?
12:15, she said.
Okay.
12:15.
What's number 2? On your list, what's number 2?
10 follow-up calls a week, or a day, 10 follow-up calls a day. Yeah, what's your name, bud?
Justice Reynolds,
Justice, nice to meet you.
good to meet you. For lead generation, you block out 9 to 11.
That's what I do.
Yeah, what you do. So have you done 9 to 11 in your whole career? Have you tried different times? What's made you stick with 9 to 11?
Because if you're in real estate long enough, you know that after 11 o'clock, everything gets so crazy that you can't keep up with it. And the energy that it takes to be able to be good at the most important thing of your day. The energy that it takes, and you lose that energy in the afternoon, you're gonna have piss poor phone calls, in my opinion, or piss poor lead generation, sorry. But you're gonna be like, in order for me to, I need the best energy that I can have to do the most important part, the most important things in my day, right? And it's hard to make phone calls when people don't know that you're calling. Would you agree? How much energy does that take away from you? You only have so much bandwidth throughout the day. And so I choose to do it then. It doesn't mean that I have agents on my team that choose to do it after everybody's off of work. But then I notice that they're a happy hour, and I notice that they're at this or that, and they're not super purposeful with it, and it's not consistent. Knock out your first thing. If it's the most important thing, It should be done at the beginning, in my opinion.
Have you seen like good response from people from 9 to 11? I'm sure you have. So, because I mean, a lot of people I call, or, I think of calling them, a lot of people have day jobs,
Sure.
so. I don't know, I'm just,
No, that's a really good way to push back.
Yes, I've seen a really good response from it. It doesn't mean that I don't get return phone calls whenever they get off work if they're not available.
are
You
you
know
doing
what I mean?
follow-up text with it, or do you usually, if they don't pick up, you just go right to the next call? Like, what do you typically?
So everybody's sitting in, if you're lead generating, you're probably in an office and you're probably in command. You're making notes of what that is. So I believe our team system is you make a phone call, then you follow it up with a text or an email.
Gotcha.
And then you go 7 deep. If they don't answer the phone call, then you put them in a different stage of the command database. So 7 touches basically before, if nobody answers or whatever, they get into a different part of the touch system on your command database. I think that's where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So you call them, follow it up with a text, because sometimes people like to communicate through text. Sometimes people like to communicate through email. Whatever the way that they want to communicate, you got to figure out what that is and make notes around it in your database, which is also a really important piece to this, while you're lead generating. So you don't screw that up again.
Mhm.
How long have you been in business?
This will be my second full year.
Second full year.
Mhm.
How's it going?
This year is much better than last.
Let's go. And market wide, this year was tough than last year.
Yeah,
If you look at
I went to bowl.
It's a good
Bowl
thing.
was nice.
Yeah, Bowl is good. I learned a lot from Bowl as well. So we have 5 minutes here. We're getting ready to jump into the 4 conversations. All right. And this is supposed to be a strategic planning class, right? So I don't want to mess this up for you too much, but this is going to be how we make money. So if I showed you that you're going to make $200,000 this year, I can show you what you need to be doing every single week, all the way to figure out what you need to be doing every hour. And that might help you. All right. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this while you guys are eating. And because I'm just going to keep going through this because we have a lot to cover. All right. Before we go, we got 5 minutes before we go to break. What is it that you want to get out of the next 2 hours? Hour 45 minutes. Anybody? Make sure you get through it. I want to make sure you get what you need out of this. What's something you want out of the rest of this class?
Good plan. Good business.
Good business plan, okay? See that GPS in front of you? You have one hell of a start to a really good business plan on how to do it. If you just do those 5 things, your world will become so chaotic that you won't be able to keep up with it. And that's gonna put you in a position for good things to happen, all right? If you truly believe that that's what your business plan is. Whether it's 100,000, whether it's 200,000, whether it's 30 units that I'm gonna close this year, whether it's 75, whether it's 150, those are really purposeful, one thing goals that you can put on that, and then you build around it. I'm using 200,000 as an example because that would be a pretty good first year in real estate. Wouldn't you agree? All right. With that plan right there, that's something, but we're gonna write that down. Good business plan. What else?
Mine is effective planning of these processes that we're supposed to have down. So I'm a team of 1.
You're a team of 1, so you're the team leader.
I am.
Let's go.
Let's go. And I feel like sometimes, so looking at my numbers says this is I just crossed over 5 years in business. And so I feel like if you look at my numbers, they've kind of hit that plateau. I want to do 100 units and I'm stuck around 70.
You're doing 70 units a year?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you
This
want
should
to,
be a little bit down, but
you want to break through a ceiling.
I am, and I just feel like, I want to like break through that. So if that means Monica tells me I need to leverage, but I mean, it does get to you mentally where you're like, okay, what is the most important thing to do at this moment? And I want to be really good at processes. I don't want to like cheat my future self.
Okay, so you don't want to cheat your future self, but what are we trying to get out of this class? How can we articulate this in a way that this would be a good bullet point for us?
I guess just clarity.
Clarity. Clarity of what?
Okay,
Sorry.
That's right. I love to lead generate, but
Okay,
I will tell you that following up with all the leads gets really squirrely. It gets like, where did I meet them? And you can't mentally keep it all in there.
okay, so clarity, consistency, organization.
Systems.
In the process.
What's your name?
Carolyn Boss.
Carolyn. Okay.
I'm
I'm
gonna,
going to do something different. I'm gonna write your name and then we're gonna put organizational model around your name real big, okay?
Okay.
If you're doing 70 units by yourself, how many people are on that? You're your only team, right? How many administration members do you have?
I tried to hire 2 people this year and it didn't work and I felt like a gigantic failure.
That's okay. How many do you have right now?
I just have 1 and I'm
Okay. All right, so we're gonna be able to dig into this a little bit and it's gonna be fun. Your energy makes me feel like a little bit better that the afternoon might be a little bit better. No offense, guys, all right?
I'm sorry.
All right,
The tears are there because I see myself on a whole different level.
Okay.
Lunch is here when you are ready
Thank you. Thanks, Monica.
And I'm gonna get there. That's why I'm here.
All right, let's go. Anybody else? Let's try to get one more. And we'll grab this. We'll just kind of keep going while you're eating, if you guys don't mind.
I'm gonna go back like systems.
Systems?
Yeah.
What kind of system? Just all?
I mean, touch on all, but more else how to break it down by, I guess, hour to hour or,
Hour to hour?
well,
Like-
yeah,
The day?
yeah.
Okay. So. Let's get food, keep that. Cause I think that there's more to your question. All right, and then let's try to figure that out, 'cause I bet we can figure that out pretty quickly. It's probably gonna help somebody in here. Give me an hour to hour. Like. Hey, it's 1 o'clock, I've done the things that I'm supposed to do, but now I don't even realize what I'm like, now it's.
That was, yeah,
Right?
right.
And so then what happens is we turn our 5-day work week into 15 hours instead of 40 or 50. And that is not a full-time, that's not a career, that's a hobby. So why the hell are we screwing around with that? Because you're not purposeful with what your calendar is or what you're supposed to be doing. Like, we can really dive into that, all right? Let's eat so that we can get on with this.
Maybe on the end of that, even in leadership, we do a 9 o'clock, Monica does morning huddle for the leadership. I do one with like the Ozarks and we're on the, and if I'm not there, I'm on there on the phone. It's made such a difference in where we're going and what we're doing, just because every morning we're doing that, we're consistent. And since we've gotten consistent on it, I can already see things changing with leadership and activities and successes. And so it doesn't matter whether it's an organization, you yourself or a group, that consistency works. That's why I wanted him to do this, because I watched him do it better than the people that coached him and to become the big success that he has become. And he very much has control of his life. I mean, we're partners and sometimes I can't even talk to him because he's not gonna let me get in his face when I'm not supposed to be in his face. So he's very disciplined.
Can you show me how to do that?
I'm your worst nightmare. Anyway, he's very consistent in his consistency, guys. He lives a totally different life. And he will tell you, I think he will tell you this, that when he came to Keller, he would have never dreamed, would you have?
No.
That you're doing what you're doing today. He would have never dreamed that. And this right here is where he started with it, and I watched him be consistent, and he's been 10 times better at it than me and a lot of people that have trained him to this. So he's one of these guys that really does it. And when you said a while ago, we don't like rejections and we don't like no's, but think of all the people that are very successful that wrote books and how many no's do they have? How many publishers turned them down? So if you can break through this in real estate, and we've all done it, we hit a plateau. I've hit a plateau, you hit a plateau, we've all done it in our businesses. But he's figured out, and we've all figured out ways to break through that and go to the next level. So there's a lot of good stuff that you'll get in here, and it comes from this and experience, but it's like he said, it's boring. And I struggle with boring, because I'm the one that stirs up all the commotion and everything, because I struggle with boring. And we have personalities in here, we all struggle with boring. And boring is what really makes them happen.
I thought we did the 2-minute thing already.
Oh,
Let's eat. Let's get some food.
No.
Plan.
We're not playing on that. The Mondays have been the long days, so. I might switch off. Less.
I'm gonna introduce myself with Toby Thomas, I'm working out. Andy Gibson. Nice to meet you, Toby.
We're not.
Thanks for coming in.
It's slowed down a little bit more, I might throw it in there, but.
Well, you're gonna help them do vacation a little bit, right, with your income that you're creating.
Right.
Thank you for being at the
Mike,
party.
thanks for letting me use you as.
That was a good party though.
No worries, man. All
We
right.
had a good
I got
time.
big skin. Love it.
Hey, okay, so I'm gonna
Nice to
try.
meet you.
Yes, Carolyn Boss.
Andy Gibson.
Thank you. Yeah, the past few years it's been, right, 68 and 74, and I don't think this year I'm gonna make the 74 unless we have like a bit of a miracle, right? This second, but because of units, those are units.
Right.
So, I'm right now, I'm about 56, so
What was your goal in 2024 to try to hit?
I want to make 100.
You want to hit 100?
And I lost a couple listings and they always kind of break my heart. So, I feel like, and then I'm hungry for information. And so I went to family reunion, going again.
Oh, good one.
And so
How did we not see each other?
I don't know. I'm in Vegas, like
I was
walking. But anyway, I thought what Vegas did was really get me, because I try to cap in 3 months. That's just a big goal of mine. And, well, I'm still showing vulnerability because we can plateau.
Not in this class, I just mean like, compare yourself nationwide to everybody,
No,
like, and I know, like, what I'm saying is like,
yeah,
just from what I'm hearing and what I'm meeting you, like, I don't understand.
why I'm not happier?
No, I don't know, no, I appreciate a really high goal, but I don't know if you realize how badass you are in the grand scheme of things.
No, I don't think I do, because I wake up and I say, okay, you're gonna get it done, and I track my calls, and I made this school. And I love to teach it. So I'm here to show that, hey, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you gotta be in it.
Carolyn, you are the boss. You are so
Is that
wonderful.
God?
Oh, do we have somebody? I forgot we were still on that.
God as a
Yes,
female.
you are. No, Carolyn, you're the boss, man. You're the boss. You are very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Don't give up. You know you got it.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
like
I'm
Superman.
going to the next level.
I can't even see.
That's Kimberly.
Is that
It's
Kimberly?
Kimberly.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Kimberly.
No, I
Hello.
do. They're my favorite. So, but I like the 50 card challenge, so I'll do a few of those.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever heard of the CGI or like the whole conversations and things like that?
I think I have, but yeah, I'm excited to hear from how you're gonna position them.
This is, we were hitting a ceiling so hard with our team
Mhm.
and then the CGI hit and then we went. Wow. And 60, and so it's like, okay, well, this is, if this is the one thing that I can share, like, no matter what level that we're at,
Great.
but it's.
And I apologize, I was late. I was securing, I had 2 closings today and I had to secure this
Hey,
this
we're old friends now, you don't have to.
piece of
You
property.
don't owe me any apology.
I do not want to drive out there.
Like, we should only be in this class if like, we don't have like, you have to do.
I want other people to come into Keller Williams and just catch that fire and grab one thing and do it. Yeah, yeah. it's what I'm at. I'm gonna catch some lunch.
No, I mean, I can help you with that conversation.
Danielle, did those people we went and looked at those houses with?
Yeah, they did. They bought the one that.
Oh, yes. Come to me now.
You know,
You did that was, yeah, that.
Not unless you make them at home, and then they taste like sugar.
It took a while, but.
hey, I always sit in the front.
So they're happy
I
campers.
like, you gotta pay attention.
Does anybody here know what your market's average sale price is by chance?
Like 253,000, yeah, just.
There he is, ask him.
Yeah.
What? Yes, ask him. Rob,
Andy, how are you?
good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for chiming in there for a second.
Well, I just want to see if you jump.
Well, you sounded like God going through the speakers.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
Rob, in the last meeting, what did you say our average sales price is right now?
It's over 7,000. Oh, sales price. I was saying condition. Sales price 270 something.
That'll work. We'll use 250 for the grand scheme of things, but no, disclose that.
And just over, I can't remember exactly, but over 7.
Okay. That'd be good.
See, it's a little different nowadays. You know, like, first did this. Gosh, you had done a lot of stuff. To hit it and then pulling it down. Today. What was happening? Unbelievable.
I know whenever I started, 100,000 was a dream. And it was
Yeah.
completely unachievable in my head. It was like 15 years ago, and it's like, how do we get to that? And that's what everybody used to want to start. And whenever I'm doing this lately and I'm using 200,000, I'm like, that still seems like a, and I don't know how people are, like what kind of financial thermostat they have, but 200 seems to be the right number right now.
I think I've seen you're gonna eventually get into the numbers, what it really.
Yes.
To do very well.
That's the next step.
That's the eye opening.
Well,
I'll let you get back at it.
all right. It takes so long to get through a GPS class. 2 to 3 hours just to try to. Just to fill out one of those sheets. And we do it every October. And it's difficult for people because they just want to write down things, but it's never specific enough, or they're it's not the right kind of goals. So we just started trying to do this first 5 for you because we'll be here forever. So sorry I had to speed up through that process.
The team, we're going through 3 different GPS trainings.
Yes.
And then, I think of like our team and then like, the marketing thing as well to kind of get us, narrow everything down. Because it can get so overwhelming and your ideas can get so big and really have to take time to narrow it down.
And
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having this, we have fun. And
Yeah, that's all we talk about.
the most powerful GPS I had ever created, we had a mastermind going on with the top 20% in our market center. And I had just started listening to Mark King's, I don't know if you guys know who that guy is or not, but a guy named Mark King, and he was putting on these wealth building classes. And that's like where I light up, like that's where my passion is. And it didn't used to be that way, but now that's like what gets me excited. So I listen to him and he has his model, which is you have to have an economic engine, you have to have expense control, and then you have wealth building in there. So that's the way we sectioned off our GPS. So we had our economic engine, which would be like the lead generation side that we just went through, right? So we have to have ways in which you got to bring money into our lives. Then we created that middle section, and that was our expense control. So we took that entire expense control section and we had strategies inside that expense control section. That I love, by the way, Carolyn. And that expense control was just simply like, okay, well, this is how much money I need to pay off my debt. So one of the strategies was pay off consumer debt for ourselves or for our market center, whenever we were doing it at that time. And then we build out all that expense control. And then after we've earned the right to be able to pay off the consumer debt, then we can start building wealth, which was the third section down below. It was super powerful. So if you're building those and you have questions on like that GPS, like you're talking about, Lori, understand that they're each sections for your real estate business, but a GPS should be used for your personal life. And in my opinion, you haven't earned the right to be able to set a business GPS until you've set your personal GPS. but none of that's my business and I'm here for the business side. So like, that's why we're doing the business side. So take that GPS and figure out whether or not it's health and fitness that needs to be there so you can be present with your family and be here longer or whatever that is. Take the middle section and be able to put your like family budget on it or something like that. You can build those family things or your personal things before you do your business stuff. Almost everybody's back. Most people. You guys ever heard of the 4 conversations? Carolyn, why don't they teach this anymore?
We need to go back to teaching it here because we're starting to go back to a lot of the basics and I'm seeing that everywhere.
I heard,
Didn't write for in quite a while.
did you listen to the latest Millionaire Real Estate podcast?
Haven't yet.
So Jay is on there. Jay Paxton's on there, and he goes, obviously I had some drive time this morning. So I listened to it and he said, that they used to teach a class that I wasn't aware of called 36, they called it a 36-12-3. They always have stupid names in my opinion for their classes. But basically it was 36, how to close 36 units in 12 months with 3 hours of lead gen. So it's 3 hours lead gen every single day. And then you go play golf or you go do whatever you want to do. But those 3 hours are so powerful that you will close 36 units. You want to double that? Double your activity. It's just really that simple. And hearing like some of those, I was like, man, wonder why they don't teach that. I don't wonder why they don't teach the CGI because the CGI is what truly changed everything for like our trajectory. Once I understood it, because I'm not a very smart guy, but once I understand something, I truly go after it. So you see these boxes? And the boxes that are in front of you, it looks like this.
The last page.
I had them take out their last pages of the packet. So for the grand scheme of things, we're at $200,000, right? That's this last section where it says profit. So, how much money do we pay Keller Williams? I know Carolyn doesn't like when I talk about this, but we're transparent. It's a transparent company. Part of the reason why I joined KW is because they wouldn't hide anything from me because I don't trust anybody, or I didn't back then. I didn't understand why everybody wanted to help me, and I'm like, what is going on with this company? Because I came from a small company and the culture was completely different. So for the first 6 months, I was just like, wait a second here, what are they trying to do? How am I being sold on this? And it took me a little while just because of the way that I grew up, or whatever it's worth. Felt pretty good afterwards. I feel bad about how I was, but that's just who I was. So if any of you guys can relate, I was that person. So in our market center, we pay $22,000 in capital. If you're on a team, that might be split in half. I don't know how yours is set up, so we're gonna use my market center if you guys are fair with this. All right.
Just 20.
Okay. So they got a deal. What's going on here, Carol? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So, and we also pay a royalty. So I'm going to add $25,000. Is that fair? So this is the profit side. So what do I write here? $225,000. We're building these goals. We have to make if I want to make $200,000 this year, all right? We have Lori's paperwork. We just made a plan. We made a business plan to make $200,000. We wrote down the activities it's going to take to be able to lead generate enough to do so, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. $225,000 is what we're gonna put here.
Yep.
How many closings do I need to make $225,000? How do we do that? This is where you guys are actually gonna learn.
Is the average 7,200 in branches?
Yeah, he said 7,000, 7,200.
Oh, very good. Yes, so the average, we're gonna use an average sale price, right? In the grand scheme of this, we're gonna use 250,000. I have to be very careful if I'm teaching a class on behalf of KW because we cannot use average commissions and blah, 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 right? Don't yell at me. But you guys understand all of that, right? So we're going to use 250,000. And we're gonna use a $7,500. So just, you said 72, we're gonna use 75, if that's cool, for the grand scheme of things, okay? So his brain's working and he's on the right track. How many closings do we need? How do we come up with that?
26 closings.
All right, 26 closings?
Going off 200 or 225, I'm sorry.
It's okay, 225.
I'd say 27.
Yeah. So in the great, here's how you come up with this, 7,500,
I got,
31.
I got 30.
30 closings.
I think it depends on also if you're considering taking, if it's gross or if it's net.
Okay, so this is the GCI, gross commission income. All right, so your gross commission income is $225,000. Right? So we're gonna take $225,000 and we're gonna take that by the average commission rate, right? 7,500 divided by 225,000. So if anybody has a calculator, what? 30 closings, all right. That looks a little bit better, okay? So we have 30 closings. All right, what does it say on this box?
Listings taken.
Listings taken, okay? I want you to mark through listings taken. Mark through the listings, and I want you just to write contracts. Karen, this is actually gonna be even a little bit different than what you do probably. So like this is a close look at exactly how we run our business. I can tell our agents how many appointments that they need to find every single day in order to be on track for them to make $200,000. We're gonna find that out for ourselves here too, all right? So 30 closings, contracts taken. How do we know how many contracts we need to take?
Because some are gonna fall out.
So conversion rates. So has anybody ever read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? Okay, yes? I lose you? Lose you on that, right? Okay. Doesn't matter. We'll share with what the model is. You have models and systems. So we're gonna take that 70% conversion rate. So what I mean is I believe you guys will have around 30. If you're gonna go off of averages, you're gonna have about a 30% fall off. Carolyn, do you agree with that?
yes. That's
Both
what we
Carolyn's,
figure
sorry.
running, that's what we figure running our business.
Yes. So we're gonna have 30% fallout. I'll just kind of give you these numbers. 43, is that what you guys coming up with? 30% fallout? Okay, 43. Now, so I'm not going too quickly. You guys need to understand how you do this. If you have a goal of this, do you know how to come up with 30 units? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. And if not, we'll break it down for you real quick again. It's your average commission divided by the number of your GCI that you want to make. Then we're going to divide that by your 0.7 to get you your 43. So what does that first box say? Ooh, the most important thing, listing appointments. Or here are listings, and we're just going to write appointments. What are your appointments? It's another, if we're following the model, we're going to take that by 0.7 again. All right, that'll be 61. I hope that everybody can hear me in this Zoom world too, and that they're able to write this down. Rob, can you hear us? Yes. Awesome. All right. Okay, so this is your annual goal. So you're gonna have 61 appointments. How do we get appointments? Lead gen.
Yes.
So now we have these strategies on the GPS to be able to get those 61 appointments.
Does that sound scary to you? Divide that by 12. 61 divided by 12.
5 cents.
So 5. I am telling you guys, if you go back to work after this and you only focus in this world, if you only care, we could have a $225,000 gross commission month on our team. And we don't hit our 5 or whatever this goal is for us. We will not celebrate making that money because we haven't earned the right to celebrate. We only celebrate this box. That's it. All you should be focusing on is 5. So take that. Now take 61 divided by 52.
$1.1.
Okay, 1.2. So in real estate, we round up, right? So if we're gonna go to 2, can you get 2 appointments in a week?
Yes. Absolutely.
Are you guys, you with me on this? So you're telling me that you only have to go on 1.17 appointments every single week to make 200 grand? Is it adding up yet? A little over 1 appointment every single week and you'll make 200 grand. That means, and we're only using averages. I guarantee there's not a single person in here that's average. You're all better than average. So in that case, you're probably gonna make more than $200,000. You hear how powerful this is? Because I'm not getting the energy from you. If I tell you that you're gonna go on 1 appointment this week and you're gonna make $200,000 by the end of it, as long as you do it consistently, is 200,000 not what makes you excited? Then go on 3 appointments every single week. What does that do? What does $400,000 annually do for your life?
A lot.
Right? And the idea of this class is to be able to take that 200,000 or the 400,000 and figure out how to manage it correctly, be able to run a business. If we get something out of it. But man, did I think you guys are gonna be way more excited about this.
I think it's so simple. It's simple and scary, but it doesn't mean it's easy, because you gotta go back and do the first steps of the things we don't like to do. But it's simple, it's a math, it's just simple, that's what it is.
It's factual.
Yeah.
And because this math works. Every one of you guys can roll out of bed and get an appointment. Every one of you, yes, I see it on your face. You're the only one that was honest with me earlier, was like, I'm just a little bit uncomfortable with that. Do you think that you can get 1 appointment a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are we gonna get it? What happens if? I hate to go down this road, because it's gonna force it out of you guys. Something were to happen to somebody you cared about unless you get that 1 appointment. What is that thing? You understand what I'm saying, Carol? Like, I guarantee if something, you guys just met me an hour ago, but if something were to happen to me, unless you went to go get that 1 appointment, I bet you'd go do it because that's who you guys are. You see what I'm saying? You would do whatever it took. You wouldn't care about what these people think anymore. You would just go do it because you have that urgency. So why are we screwing around? Why are we not going after it? Why are we not changing the lives? That's why we're all here. Except for maybe you, because you got like 5 businesses and you're doing great. But why are we doing it? Like, why? And it goes back to the very beginning. Why is it that we're doing this? I just showed you guys just barely over 1 appointment for you to be able to make this kind of money. Any ahas on this? Huh? Aha.
Consistency.
Carolyn, help me here.
Consistency. And it's
I think,
simple.
I think the come from contribution reminder is a good one personally. I think sometimes I personally get stuck in that. Thinking, putting myself on the other person's shoes and thinking, why would they want to talk to me today at this moment? What do I have to offer? And the coming from contribution conversation you had earlier with us. Just, am I gonna care is somebody gonna care more than me? It's a great perspective. And that drives that first box.
There you go. Thank you, Tom. Okay. So now we're all making so much money that we gotta be responsible for it. Right? I don't know, you guys take the steam out of me. I thought you'd all be so dang excited about it. Maybe,
Already being let down.
like, let's go.
They
Nice.
haven't raised that thermostat, you know, we all have that mental block about what we can do, what we can make, and I don't think we, you know, we're convinced, people aren't convinced in their mind that they can do it. And the ones that are dependable, like you said, you'll figure it out because, first time I went to bowl, I was not really wanting to be, I kind of went kicking and screaming, but at the end of the year, when I saw what I'd written down and what had actually taken place, when I got my letter back in the mail, it kind of blew me away,
Mhm.
you know, because when I applied, I got that letter and I was like, oh, I did that, you know, not knowingly as I went through the year. So that was one of the most powerful exercises for me was trying to raise your financial thermostat, because we all have something in our brain that we think we're only not capable of, but what we have the right, like you kids said, what we have the right to make or what we think we're capable of doing. So, gotta be able to raise that.
So that, you guys know what she means by financial thermostat? So here's the best way that it was explained to me. If the most money I have ever made was $50,000 annually, then it's really difficult for me to take that times two and imagine making more than $100,000. So if it's $100,000, it's difficult to imagine making more than 200. So as I was preparing for this class, I used 200,000 because I feel like that might be something exciting for people to chase at that point if they're newer. It could be somebody, like you guys could all be at higher levels. Maybe that's the case. You guys all make more than $200,000 a year and that's why you're not excited about this. But I was divided on it because we used to do it on 100,000. So let's just say for a minute that you guys only want to treat this like a hobby. And you're only putting in those 15 hours a week. And you only go on 2 appointments a month. You're still making 100 grand a year. That's why I don't understand why people, does that make sense? Did I go too fast? All right. So we half-ass our way all the way through this. We only go on 2 appointments this month. And then we average 2 appointments. So that's only 24. Like, our team goes higher than that on a week, guys. You're only going on 2 appointments every single month. What are you doing with your life the other times? You know what I mean? Like, if you screw it up, you're only making $100,000. It's a pretty awesome career to be in. But let's take advantage of it and let's figure out, like, $100,000 might cover all your bills. Lori, does it cover your bills?
Yes.
Yeah? So then let's just stop. Once we make it and recover our bills, let's just stop. Right? You get where I'm going with this? And we'll stop because we don't have a big enough why on why we're going where we're going and what we're doing for our family or those people. I'm gonna stop harping on this. I thought you guys would be so excited to make 200 grand. All right.
Hey man, can we get down to the fundamentals? Like, when you say 10 phone calls, I did this for 4 years, capped all 4 years, we did really well. But to go to that next platform, we get all of our work off referrals. Every single closing I've got has been a referral.
Every closing you've had in 4 years has been a referral.
Every closing. We've been in town 22 years, we've been in shows, tons of people know us. We just are fortunate enough to have the phone ring for us.
You capped every year?
Lots of relationships.
Yeah, I capped twice almost every year.
Wow.
So when you go down to the 10 phone calls, I mean, let's get down to the rudimentary level for even the new folks.
Let's go, man. Like, this is what I need.
I mean, like basic. I've been to bold, but I've done it all. But
Okay.
getting down to the rudimentary level of the 10 phone calls a day, where do those phone calls, where does the number, where does the 417 blah, 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 blah number come from.
Like, how do we know who to call, right?
So I could come in, a buddy of mine, Cole Courier, ever heard of Courier and Company? Okay. Biggest agent here in Branson.
Okay.
As part. Good buddy of mine, been in shows together for years. He told me before he got to where he's at now, he'd go into his office because he owned his own brokerage. He brew a pot of coffee. He thought it was better to have an actual brick and mortar building to go to office because thought he was getting more work done or being more business-like. He said, take a shower, get dressed, put his tie on, go to work by himself, and the lights on, brew his cup of coffee, sit in front of his computer and think. Now, who do I call? Where's it come from?
So that's your question for me is like, okay, if I'm gonna make these 10 calls, who do I call? I know they're saying like this guy was
a conversation with anybody on the street. I can have, I have no problem being out knowing and talking to anybody. But if you, after you've exhausted your warm market in your warm circle of phone calls on a consistent basis of 10 phone calls a day, I mean, that adds up over the week, over the month, over the year.
Oh,
That's
for
a
sure.
ton of numbers. Ton of numbers. If you're not paying for leads to come in on your email, because I've been to Bold, and in my Bold group, it was a bunch of people that were on teams that had team leaders spending $20,000 a month, handing out 100 leads a day in their email. They had 100 phone calls from me, right? Me as an individual, my wife and I are together, but
Be quiet.
as an individual, we're not paying for anything. Like, we never paid for, like.
So can I ask you,
I'm sorry?
can I ask you some questions about your business?
Yeah.
You might be able to dive into this. Is this helpful for anybody? We can spend a little bit of time on this.
Yeah.
Okay, because I hear this a lot, and I think it's a really good question. Like, okay, well, now who do we call? And then whenever you go to Bold or you go to these trainings, they're like, pick up your phone if you're a brand new agent, how many contacts do you have in there, blah, blah, blah. And all of us, if you have a personality like me, which it seems like you do, I'm feeling that in the background. What's your name, by the way?
Jason Pritchett.
Okay, I know your dad.
You sold my parents' house.
Yes, Merlin is awesome.
With a name like that, you gotta be.
So first of all, nice to meet you and thank you. If everybody has that question, who do I call, right? You have a sheet on page 13 where it's going to give you some like prospecting ideas. When you get through your warm leads, you said 4 years, Jason, is that right? Okay. What were you doing throughout those 4 years? Were you keeping a really good database of everybody in there? Were you, your first year, you're making those calls, and you said your warm leads or whatever. What were you doing? How many units did you average over those 4 years?
35.
That's incredible, man. Your first year, something like that, you're doing so. All right.
I mean, in all reality, you're not from here, but so to put it in perspective, we can put on social media that my wife and I are real estate phone rings. Like, it's kind of silly, but now that we're in for 4 years and every Tom, Dick, and Jane in Branson's a real estate agent, hopefully now falling off because the market's been crappy. You know, people know we do it, and then how do we revive it? And I think by reviving it, it comes down to the rudimentary level of making phone calls.
I agree. If you're good at phone calls, right? You might be better at door knocking. But whatever you're doing, you're gonna be really consistent with it. And you better have a good enough pitch to be able to explain to them that you're competent immediately and that you know what you're doing and it comes from value, like you were talking about, Tom. So you have 140 people that you've closed properties on. And if you're setting them up correctly and you're making sure that they are getting personal phone calls every single quarter, we're jumping ahead a little bit. But everybody in your database, let's just say that Jason only has 140 people in his database. Those 140 people, he's making sure that he's calling them every single quarter. But they're also being touched 56 different times throughout the year, right? So they're not forgetting about him. All these Tom, Dick, and Harry's that are all in real estate right now. We have the same thing at Lake the Ozarks. We have a couple thousand and it's so annoying, all right? The bottom line is that 10% of the agents do 90% of the work. Is that how it is here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, you're taking those 140 people, if you're servicing them correctly and you're reaching out to them consistently, They're sharing that, so you're gonna have your own sphere of influence, basically. And at Gibson and Grind, which is the company that I have, 80% of our business comes from that sphere of influence. But whenever you guys are just starting off and you're making those phone calls and those 10 calls a day, you don't know who to call. You're talking about that warm section of your career where that is going. You have to capitalize on that warm section and do it correctly, or else you're gonna be in this revitalization stage. So now you're going through and you're gonna have to put your boots on, pull yourself up a little bit, and just kind of get after it with action. Now, what kind of action is that going to take? Andy, you said you need to be making 10 phone calls. Well, those 10 phone calls, if you don't have new business to be making, and you don't have some sort of a system to where you have your database phone calls or finding out who your database knows that you can help. You know what I mean? Hey, Jason, nice, you gave me a referral of this. Is there anybody else in your family that I can help or that you know about that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And you're going through that 140 times until you're done with that. And then you're going through hoping that you're getting a few more numbers and then you have 10 follow-up calls. It's all that kind of activity. And then guess what? There's 8 hours in the workday. And I only talked about those 2 hours, right? So what do we do if we don't have appointments in the afternoon? Well, I'm going to go search out 100 properties. I'm going to door knock the properties in which I want to get listings at. I'm going to get in front of those people and find more phone calls to be able to have, because I need to have this urgency and action around this business so that I can build. You see what I'm saying? Like, it is going to be, it's not, bless you, it is not, it's an easy.
I gotta invest money though. I gotta have money to invest. I can't send out flyers and do stuff because I don't have money.
What's, Christine, okay. Christine, how much money does it take to knock on a door?
Well, you don't want to go. I mean, what if they don't answer? You want to have like hangers or something like that to leave as well.
Sure, sure. Okay, how much money does it cost to print out things at your office?
Not much. It's included in the office.
How much does it cost?
Your monthly fee.
Exactly. You get what I'm saying, Christine? It should cost you $0 because you're already paying for it, right, Jason? Yeah. All right. That's the way the KW model works. And that's one thing that I like about the KW model is like, look, there's a flat fee. It's never going to go up. So, or not, excuse me. You're never going, you can build off your year of exactly what KW is going to charge. There's not going to be a sliding scale of anything. So we can budget around it. So to go back with all of this, Christine, it's not going to cost you anything. It's just going to take you action. And if you sit there and focus on, here's what I can't do, or this might happen, you spend all this time where you could have just been taking action in the first place, in my opinion. So print out those things that says, here's Christine Incorporated, or Jason, I don't know what the name of your business is, but I know that you guys are a pretty big deal around here, like socially, right? What Carolyn just said, and you guys are singers or something, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to do something on that to capitalize off that. We're kind of off the rails a little bit, and I apologize, but it is really important because we need to know who to call. It's going to take urgency. So Christine, if I'm you, I am going to print off on the company printer as many copies as I feel like.
Don't tell Monica.
Sorry, Monica. I'm going to print off as many as I want. And I'm going to, if my GPS calls for it, because if it's not on my GPS, then I'm wasting my time, Mike. Because I'm doing things that I haven't, or that aren't important enough to be doing. So I'm going to print those off if I'm going to knock on doors. I don't know why I'm looking up at her. And I'm going to print those off, and I'm going to print off however many my GPS says. I'm going to knock on 20 doors a week, so I'm going to print off 80 copies. I'm going to make sure if they're not there, that I'm leaving a nice handwritten note on that flyer that you printed off for free about how you're just starting in this business or whatever your story is and how you feel like you can help them better than anybody else. And then I'm going to follow up with them again and again until they ask me to stop.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Another thing, Andy, I think when you were talking about a while ago, all the touches, I don't think everybody here realizes that through command, there are systems that once you put them in there and you start, have you ever seen the annoying, I can't stand the attorney that's on, on the TV all the time, over and over and over, but I guarantee you if something happens, that attorney is gonna pop in my mind because I've seen it so much consistently. And you're gonna be that annoying realtor and they're gonna hit delete and delete, but guess what? When it comes time to sell a house, they're gonna be like, you know what, that person's really consistent. So command has a system that does all of that for you. It has the touches in there. You don't have to sit down every month and say, make sure I do this. That's part of the system, that's part of the processing. So it's the way to stay in front of your people without, you know, you call them once a quarter, but you don't have to do it every week or every month. And you kind of become that lawyer that's on all the TV ads that everybody gets tired of hearing from, you know.
So that's the branding side of it.
Yeah.
And I won't be going over into that because I don't think I'm qualified to do it. I'm going over this stuff because I think that I've earned the right to be able to do it, because nothing gets on my nerves more than somebody that comes up, stands in front of me and talks about something I haven't earned the right to do. It really bothers me. And I think that might be an immaturity thing that I'm still dealing with, but it bothers me, all right? For sure. So Jason, you and Carolyn, you guys are running, then some of the maybe the ones that are less than a year or whatever. So you guys running this business, it's kind of exciting because, okay, now you might be hitting a ceiling. Like, hey, I have all of this, but I've already sold to all my friends or all these people who look up to us or whatever, and then I don't know what to do because I'm hitting that ceiling. And you guys might be at the level to where you have to start investing a little bit more into your business as well. And I believe that you have to lead with revenue, so don't go spend money unless you've made it, but I know that you're still making money, right? By getting those referrals that you're already getting. But I told myself that I wouldn't start investing into my business in other kinds of ways until I've earned the right to do it. You've heard me say that today, right? And I told myself, okay, as soon as I hit 10 million, I'll actually start investing a little bit more, because then I owe that to other people that are around me. And I don't know if that's right or not, but that could be a different kind of conversation where you can blast through that ceiling. Carolyn, for you, you're hitting that ceiling. It's going to be about you hiring the right people. Because every time I talk to you about who it was that you were hiring or who works with you or whatever, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, you shut down and you weren't proud of it at all. Is that, am I right? But you still say you had somebody there. So what I'm trying to get to really quickly is it's the right people of organizational, right? It's the right kind of lead generation that you're doing. All right. It was really easy for the last few years. Bless your hearts to the people who just started, but I love that you're just starting, because I started in a harder part as well. But 3 or 4 years ago, Jason, it was, and I'm not taking anything away from you because you built it, sounds like in a different kind of a way. But we had agents that started with us, and it was so easy because there were so many leads coming through that they didn't have to grind for it. And it was just kind of coming at them, and they were servicing instead of lead generating. So that could be some of it as well. And so now we're hitting a different kind of market where we have to go, it's a little bit more competitive. You have more agents coming through because they heard of all the deals coming. It's a little bit different. I don't think that I answered your question all the way, but maybe we can talk about it as we get through this. Maybe I can help. Maybe I can't, but that's what I'll
Sorry to get us off in the weeds.
I'll do my best. I know how frustrating it is though, to be sitting there, hearing all these people like, okay, well, this is how you make 200 grand. Just make 10 phone calls a day. I would roll my eyes at that 100,000 times if I didn't do it myself already. I did it. Like that's it. All the other 5 things that are on there, I'm doing that because I'm supposed to. The only things that matter are strategy number 1 and strategy number 2. Do you know how long it took me to become a millionaire, Keller Williams? This is something really uncomfortable for me to share. But we need some sort of change of the motion in this room.
How long?
5 years.
5 years.
Do you have any idea? I was filling out social services paperwork for my family. Whenever people talk about how they were raised or whatever, or you hear Mark King talk about how he grew up in a car, I've never rolled my eyes so much in my entire life, because there's no way that somebody could ever compare to what it is that I went through in my mind. And that's not fair. And it's another immaturity that I have. So to hear people say that they went through this or did these kind of things or all those horror stories, no matter where we come from, everybody has a hard thing. We can do it. I'm just saying, if you grew up the way that I did, and you ended up in this position, which we all are in this room, and you're here for a reason, you can be anywhere that you want to be in 5 years. I know for a fact. Because I'm too ignorant to have done it myself without this kind of a model. And I just did it. I only did strategy number 1 and strategy number 2 every single freaking day. And then opportunities happen. I swear.
All right, let's get through this.
Do it.
All right, so the 5 fundamental models. You feel how flat it is, Carolyn?
I think they're just processing.
Apologize, guys, about the heavy stuff. All right, economic model to achieve the amount of net income you desire. So we kind of built a little bit of an economic model here, but we're going to go through more of it. Is this how we're going to make $200,000 this year?
Yeah.
Did you guys all write that down on the GC on that CGI form?
Yeah.
All right. Mike, did you write it down? All right.
What was your 4 and your 25? How are you coming to those numbers?
Ooh, okay. So these are your monthly numbers.
Okay.
These are your annual numbers.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, and then you just, yeah, all right.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is these are the appointments that you need. So you should have that on your sheet.
Yeah, I have that.
This is your monthly appointment. This is your annual monthly. So just divide each number by 12.
Gotcha.
That's it. The most powerful thing that you guys, it's the most powerful thing that I do. Jason, I don't know if you do this in yours or not, but yours could be, this is how many referrals I need. But bottom line, it's the way you're gonna get your units. And if you get a referral, you're still going on an appointment with that referral, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm chasing that many appointments. Could be referrals, it could be anything. I'm trying to get in front of somebody so that I can get their business. So that I can help them. I can come from contribution. All right? Budget model. Organization model and then expansion model. We will not have time to go through or expansion model. We're going to kind of come through this. Are you guys familiar with all of these?
Yes.
Yes, somewhat? All right. Economic models first. Who wants to be the guinea pig? Or do you want me to still continue to use $200,000?
Be the guinea pig,
All right. 2 years.
2 years.
How much? Are you comfortable with this?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm not zero pride or zero
Oh,
ego.
I like this and it's justice, right?
Yep.
How many units did you close in 2024 so far?
Before, take them at 12 or 13.
Okay, is it fair if we just use 12 or 13 times the average sale price?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
That way we don't make it too uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Because it could have been 13 lots. It could have been $1,300, you know what I mean? Like, look at the Ozarks.
We love land in here.
But for the grand scheme of things, can anybody take 12 times 7,500?
Could have been 12 million
90,000.
properties, by the way.
Could have been, that's right. That's right. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Okay.
90,000.
All right, so we got 90,000. Carol, you think you could invest in a whiteboard?
Looks like we need a new one.
Good grief.
I don't know, that's Monica's department.
All right, so some of you might be on a team and some of you might be running your own business. If you're on a team, you still have to understand what this model is so you can run your business correctly. Oh, good.
I do that spray.
Spray,
All right, it's okay.
I'll go get something.
It's all right, Carolyn. All right.
The spray works.
The spray works. All right, so who's heard of 30, 30, 40?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes?
No.
No?
No.
No? Okay. So this is the way that I run my life now. This is the way that I run my business, and it's a really easy model. If it goes too far into detail, I start to black out. I have to have really simple things in my life. All right? If anybody can relate to that, I don't know. So we should be spending enough money in our business. Jason, you and your wife are running this business. We have $90,000 in income coming in, so that's our gross commission income, right? 30% of that should be our expenses. 30% of that should be cost of sales. And 40% should be our net profit. That's the model all the way across the board if you're in real estate. All the way from Gary Keller down to Justice. That's how it should be written. Questions regarding that?
There's something better.
It's okay.
So I mean, essentially,
Oh, yeah, it does.
your take home is 40% of that. And
Yes.
That's what's covering your bills.
So
essentially.
let's use, since we're at 90,000, is it fair if we use 100?
Yeah.
All right. So we have $100,000. $30,000 should be set aside, even if you're team members, in my opinion. Who has $30,000 set aside right now? Perfect. All right, anybody else? Does this seem like far-fetched? Just getting started, you're 30 days in, right? Does it seem far-fetched? This is the way you guys are gonna run a business. All right, what's cost of sales? No, that's under expenses. Cost of sales would be
Splits.
your referral fees, your splits, if you're running a team, those kind of things. All right, that's what cost of sales is. That was confusing when I first started here.
So I'm on a team,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with my dad. So how would cost of sales play a role?
Is your dad the rainmaker?
The rate, what is that?
Yes.
Is your the team? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that not what you refer to around here, Carolyn?
No, we do.
Okay.
All right, so your dad, you would have a split with your dad.
Yep.
Instead of calling your dad, let's just call it the company you work with, okay? So you have a split with that company. So that company, you're the cost of sales anytime that they pay you money.
Gotcha.
That's the cost of doing business or the cost of payout for the business.
Okay.
All right, so that 50%, if you get a 50% split, or 60 or 30 or whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever that is, that's your split. Jason, whatever you're paying your referral company, 25% referral, right? That is your cost of sales as well. Does that make sense? Sometimes your cost of sales won't be as high as 30%, but you don't ever want them to be higher. All right, how are you doing on yours, Carolyn? You're 30% looking good?
Yeah.
Just a yes or no, don't worry, you don't have to.
Yeah. I'm not hitting the number. I mean, I know that's the model, but I am not hitting the.
Okay. 40% is the fun thing. Net. So let's say you're on the team. Justice, you're the team member. I want you to set aside 30% anyway. I would like for you as the team member to have a 70% profit. And the 30% set aside to make sure you can run your business appropriately, professionally, and legally, and pay your taxes. You with me?
Yep.
Talk to your CPA about that, but that will help you quite a bit, all right? Make sure we're setting that money aside. Does anybody disagree with that? No. Jason, you probably were starting to make quite a bit of money throughout those years, starting to put those units together. And did it?
It's one of the things that new real estate agents, I wish someone had told me when I was brand new, you need to
Yeah.
put this money aside for taxes, because you wake up and you spend all your money and you don't have the money for taxes and you're in a bad position, so you gotta set something aside right up front to protect yourself.
It's such a scary thing. I had a new agent join me in March. She made 150,000 between March and December. Oh, here I go. Yeah. She didn't realize that she joined my team. She didn't have any more expenses. Right? As a team member. You guys need to listen to that. And she goes, hey, my CPA just said I owe $40,000. I don't have $40,000. And I'm like, first of all, she's one of my team members, and I'm so into saving and all of these things, and remember how I grew up. So of course I have all of that. The shoe could fall off at any point. So I need to make sure that I have protections and 6 months reserves on everything that I own or each company that I have. 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. Right, Carolyn? Like it's like a scary thing for me still. And that's just who I am. She's coming in, flying in, selling a bunch of real estate. So make sure you have that together so that you don't get hit in the face. Okay. So we're at $100,000. Everybody understands the model around that. Do you see this right here? This is what economic model example that they give you in the MREA. I brought mine. Carolyn's never even seen this before. If you guys want to see it, you can. And all the way down to every number on how I do things. And you guys are more than welcome to make copies of it if you want. All right. This is for many real estate agents,
unless you have my personality, this stuff is so super boring. Please just let me go sell something, right? But, and that's okay. We want you guys just go take action, go sell something, the 5 things that we talked about doing. But it's really important that once you start making this $200,000, Lori, still got that headache? Bless your heart. The $200,000, you know what to do with that money. Any questions on it? So imagine instead of this 2.4 million in your sheets, see GCI from the listing sales, GCI from the buyer sales, both those things, listings cost of sales, buyer cost of sales, both those numbers together will equal 30% of their gross commission income. Right? 30%, which is cost of sales. Then you're going to have operating expenses. 30% of 2.4 million is 700,000. So in our company, we are paying $700,000 on our goal of 2025 in expenses. Like our company. Which means that I owe my agents $700,000. See the model around that? If my agents aren't selling $700,000 worth of real estate, I either have the wrong agents or I'm selling too much myself and I'm starving my business away from my agents. So even the people, if you're on a team, has a model that they should be working with. Does that make sense? So if you're on Carolyn's team, she has a responsibility to her team members to make sure that she's not producing too much herself and taking away for the fact that that cost of sales should actually be higher at 30%. If it's so much lower, she needs more agents. Does that make sense? Clear as mud. There is a model for how to run these businesses and it's pretty exciting, in my opinion. And then the 40% that's left over, well, that goes to you as the owner of the company. Be able to invest back into the company, if you choose so. All right? Any questions on that? Skip through, Andy, get as fast as possible. Please go as fast as possible. All right, listing appointments, buyer appointments. Questions on this to understand the economic model? Carolyn, you might be in a situation like this. Jason, you might be in a situation like this. Many of us will just be trying to go get those appointments, and I don't care what they are, just go get them. I don't care if they're buyers, I don't care if they're sellers. So far this year, we have sold 80 sellers and 60 buyers. That's a pretty good average of where you want to be. That's what we've done here today. So if I'm you guys, and you're building a team, or you're Carolyn or whatever, and you're focused on buyers, or I don't know what your system is, or Jason, you're just taking whatever referral that you can get as you're going. Carolyn, you guys may want to start focusing on where your deals are coming from, because if you're buyer heavy and you're running these businesses, then you might be spending way too much money on your leads. And instead of having as many listings as possible to get those leads from it. Jason, if you're getting referrals on those deals and their listings, you should be getting 2 to 3 leads from them, adding to your database on every listing that you have. And that will continue with your lead generation business. So you should get something. So having as many leads as many listings as possible, you're going to be getting generic leads from that anyway. And then, although they may not want to buy that listing, you'll sell them something else, and that's how you do your buyers. That's why the whole entire system to this is leads, listings, and leverage. That's the entire model. You get leads from listings. You have to have leverage, Carolyn, so that you can continue to blast through that ceiling. Yes. Okay. So this is going to hurt your brain, and we can skip through this. But you can take that $200,000. I can fill all of this out for you, and I actually already did. But it's going to have to be off your numbers. Okay, we can't play the arbitrary game anymore. The arbitrary numbers, right? So you're going to plan out what it is that your goals are. Maybe in 2025, your goal is to close 2 units a month, right? I believe wholeheartedly that if we're going to be full-time agents, that we should close 2 units a month. Because I know every one of you guys in here can take this seriously enough to make this a full-time job. Because if you're not closing 2 units a month, need to be in as many trainings as possible, so you can understand that I need to be putting these hours toward closing 2 units a month, and how to get there. All right, those 2 units a month, maybe you build that on there. Take the 2 units a month, which is 24 units, times an average sale price. So we'll use 7,500. 24 times 7,500, what does that give you? Why is it that I'm the one that has to teach the class about the numbers, Carolyn? What did you come up with, Carolyn? 180? Hey, there's a good voice. What's your name? Nice to meet you. 180,000? $180,000? So if we close 2 units a month, we make $180,000? Does anybody disagree with that one? No, thanks. Jamie, you've been so quiet in this class. All right, $180,000. I would love to make $180,000. Would you like to make that $180,000? Okay, be a full-time agent. Close 2 units a month. You can do that. Everybody can do that. That's actually less than 120 every week. So every single week, we're flipping over every single rock that we can find to figure out where the heck our appointment is. Just figure it out. I'm not getting referrals that week. I'm gonna find the best neighborhood. I'm gonna see, Carolyn just closed the property. She closed a 70 a year, for crying out loud. I guarantee she has sold something recently. I guarantee the Crispin team has sold something recently. You know what I'm gonna do? Justice, I'm gonna take their listing and I'm gonna print out, it's Christine, right? I'm gonna print out as many free flyers from this market center as I can. And then I'm gonna go to that neighborhood and I'm gonna say, hey, we just closed your neighbor. Would you like for me to tell you how much your property's worth and how quickly I can sell your property? Sounds pretty easy, right?
Yes.
It is. Just nobody's taking any action to get it done. You can do that on everybody's closing, Justice. Yeah. Why aren't you?
I don't know a lot.
Sure we can.
So, yeah.
You see what I'm saying, man? Like, we all wanna sit here and figure out like, hey, there's nothing that we can do in order to go get that business, but there's plenty of things to do. You may not be asking the right people what to do. If that's fair. I don't know. So go do that. And knock on as many doors as you can until somebody's willing to say, yeah, you know what, it costs $650 for an appraisal. I'll take your opinion of value for free. Then you figure out how many units your market center has closed. I don't know what that is, but let's just say that the market center closed 500 units. And you say, well, I'm a market expert. And there's not many people around here that can say that they closed 500 properties. I close more than 3 properties every single day. Nobody knows this market. Would you like for me to provide you value and tell you what your value is? And then you don't say a word. And you stare. And they will say yes. Great, that sounds really nice. Do you mind giving me a tour of your property? Sure. And you can do this all day long because you're innocent. You guys know what I mean? That guy could do that all day long. So then you walk through the property, you're building a relationship with them, and you're in really good shape. How many times a week could we do that? How many times? 3? 25. But wait a second, man. You only need 1 appointment to make $200,000, bud. So why is it we're putting such a low ceiling on ourselves? You get what I'm saying? Just that kind of action. And I know we're going down the road of door knocking quite a bit, but that's just a really cheap way to take major action. Really is. All right, back to this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How often are you leveraging like how good you perform compared to just getting to know them and, you know, find out about how long they live there? I mean, those conversations, I guess that goes into more of the scripts aspect, but.
So that's my biggest pet peeve.
Or the conversation aspects. Well, they don't call them scripts anymore, they call them conversations.
Sure.
But, you know, I've got, after Bold, I've been having lots of conversations.
Okay.
Been generating more. And I think where I'm having trouble is where am I leveraging, you know, my team's experience versus just getting to know and just. get
Or your market center's experience, like we just went.
Yeah, or market center, so. I mean, what do you usually lead with? Hey, I'm best agent in the world, hire me, or you just say, or you just go completely, how are you today? Can I help you?
I've already shared probably way too much of what I'm not supposed to be doing in this class, which they brought me to Branson for, and I apologize, Carolyn. So
Hey, I'll be honest with you, we see a lot of these trainings and classes, and to me, I don't care anything about that, I wanna hear from a person who's actually done, and what did you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think we're all kind of in the same boat, like, man, we can sit and train, and, and I know there's a lot of truth to the books, the one thing, and all these models, but like, that's truth of it, boots in the ground, what'd you do?
But here's my point. Andy did this because of the training we had. And the 4 conversations he learned in a class, and that was his number one thing.
Yeah, but I don't want him to apologize for getting off in the weeds and not doing
Oh,
this.
and no, I don't either, because that's why I wanted you to come and he said, you want the model one or you want me? And I said, I want the Andy Gibson
Off the
one.
script or off the script.
Yeah, I told him,
appreciate it.
one, what you did to be successful.
Well, I think I'm a little slow through the questions because, we went over conversations at the beginning, but I'm now, my wheels are turning. I'm going, well, these conversations, what did that specifically look like for you? You're sitting in that seat, you've been successful.
Great question.
So what have you seen, what have you noticed?
I feel like I had way more failures than successful, okay? I'm getting uncomfortable now because I don't even like standing in front of everybody doing this. I would like everybody being around a round table, we're all talking about what each other does for the business. For sure. To answer your question, I feel like, yes, you do need, whether or not we're allowed to say it or not, practice with conversations, right? Because you only get so many opportunities. But go practice on people. And the biggest problem is like, ask them for their business. So we have so many people, I'm gonna answer your question in a roundabout way. And remember, my son has a basketball game at the lake in a little while, so
You're gonna make it.
I will cut it short for that reason, and I'll stay to that, all right? Just wanna make sure you guys get something out of this. And I'd be happy to come back if you're getting something out of it. I love Branson. So. People will have these conversations, they'll go through, our agents will go through, and they will not ask for the business. So they'll take time away from their own families or time away from whomever. Just to be able to knock on that door and hope that nobody answers. Or hope that the conversation can end as quick as possible. Because my fear level is starting to rise so much. Oh, I just called this stranger and I don't know what to say. I can't wait till the conversation's over. And we forgot exactly why we're going through all the emotions in the first place. Can anybody relate with that? All right. So what I would do, Jason, is I just started telling them why I feel as though we're the best at what we do and why we have value to be able to provide. No fluff. This is what I do. This is how I do it. This is how I can help. Worst case that happens to you is that you get a free evaluation on your home. How does that sound? You know what I mean? What do you think that what's that thing? Thank you. What do you, sorry, didn't mean to throw me off. You're right. You're right. Don't get me in trouble. But you're kind of hearing how I might would do it. All right. Ask your question again. Give me going again.
How often are you leveraging, your experience in your business compared to just actually just getting to know them and their situation, or
they don't want to get to know you because you're a stranger.
Exactly. So like, I don't want to have a half-hour conversation with these people, or
give me an example and then we'll get to move on a little bit.
So yeah. So Home Pistos for sale now.
Okay.
And you're wanting to leverage, you're wanting to let them know you're good at your job, but you're also wanting to know their situation, and you don't want to spend an hour talking to them or whatever, you're trying to get straight to the point.
You have one responsibility, Justice, and everybody, I want you to hear this, all right? And then we're gonna kind of move on.
Yeah.
All right? Make it really simple, because you're a logical guy, I can tell, all right? You gotta know everything that's going on around you so you can process it and then put it together. Is this you?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to, I hope that you didn't feel good.
No.
Okay, I appreciate that, actually.
I'm not that far from that. You have one responsibility when you call anybody. Whenever you knock on a door, whenever you call a FISBO, whenever you call an expired, your only strategy is to get into the house, to get that first box. The only thing that you're caring about. Because whenever you go to their home, or you get into that property, you're justice. Remember the innocent guy? You know what I mean? Like, this is who you are. You immediately exude trust. Like, that's your gift. I can tell you that. You immediately exude trust. I feel it on you already. You guys feel it on him? You guys know him for a little while? That's what I think. Anyway. I know. I'm kidding. Not kidding. Yeah, I know. You're not fooling that guy, man. No BS. All right? But that's who you are. So you have one job, you get into the home. Gotcha. All right? You get into the home, that's where the magic happens. But they already have their gate down because they invited you to their home. So your question shouldn't be that, how much should I use my team or my experience instead of knowing what they're wanting to hear from me? You got to use whatever it takes for you to get into that appointment mode. Whatever it takes to get into their home. All right? Just get into the appointment. If I'm knocking on doors, it's because I want to evaluate their property because I just sold the next door neighbor and I did it in 2 days. Would you like for me to tell you how much your property is worth and how quickly I can sell it? Sure. So then you're getting in there, you have that conversation over and over again. I'm calling a FISBO. And I have a group of buyers. Because I have a database full of buyers. Does anybody have a buyer in here that's looking for something? Yes?
Yes.
Man, we're off the rails here. This is Jason's fault. If I have that happening, I'm going to be looking at properties for what my buyers need. And I'm going to reach out to them and say, they have buyers looking at properties that meet your criteria. Would you mind if I walk through the property to be able to look at it for myself in case they're interested in purchasing the property? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Anybody done that before?
Yeah.
Yes? So now I'm walking into the home. Did I get in the house?
Yep.
Now they're gonna like me as justice because I exude trust. I can now prove my value. I can share the information about my team. I can share my experience. I can share that we close 500 units a year and that nobody else can touch us in this market because we are the best. And I'm gonna do what I say. Those kind of things. That's all we're. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna get into the door. Right? We're knocking on the door, we're calling FISBOs, we're getting into the door. That should be your one job. Cool. Then you're gonna provide value in the service.
And I think the fear factor of new agents is you always feel like you don't know everything and you don't. But remember this, 90% of the people you talk to don't know as much as you know about the real estate market that you've already learned. So unless you run into a realtor that they know it all. So even if I've been doing it 25 years, they usually know more than me about my market. But I'm just saying, most of the people you talk to, if you know anything about what you're doing, just remember, you know more than they know, so just come from that confidence a little bit. And if you don't have the answer, I'll give the answer.
Any of you guys ever feel like you're doing something wrong? You know what I mean? That's that confidence stuff, you know what I mean? Because you're right, Carolyn. I would often think that, oh my gosh, I feel like a fraud and they're gonna know it. I still suffer from that sometimes. My confidence is high, but I always feel like, man, like I don't know if I deserve or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. But yes, we do. Whenever we can get clear headed about it, we can process it. Yes, we do. And then, Tom, are you gonna help those people more than the Yahoo across the street?
You're damn right.
You got it. All right. So for the sake of time, here is your model where it's 40%, 30%, and 30%. Are there any questions around what the 40% is? Lori, what's the 40%? Your net income, right? Everybody with me? So we make $1,000. We're gonna take $300, we're gonna set it to the side. If you're a single agent, that's where you guys are starting, right?
Yep.
Okay, you're a single agent, you just made $1,000. You're gonna set $300 to the side. You have 70% in that income. Once you get teams, or you have people and agents that work with you, and you set up a split structure, then you're gonna have to change that to a 30-30-40. So instead of 70% net, you're gonna have 30% cost of sales, 30% expenses for your business, and then 40% net. That's what 30-30-40 is. Carolyn does this perfectly. But it's nice to have a model. Every month I look at our P&L, our profit and loss statement, and I figure out where it is that I have to put the brakes on. Like, I have a partner, we decided to merge two big companies together. Yeah, what's up, Monica? We decided to merge two big companies together. And she loves to spend money and I hate to spend money.
Are they talking about Carolyn?
Not that.
I heard loves to
Different partner,
spend money.
different partner.
Right, so anyway, we have to really watch that, right? So now that there's a model, she can't overspend outside of the 30% on expenses. Because there's a model for it. Unless we all, so it's like a nice argument piece. And the caveat to that is we have to spend 30%, or else we're starving our business. Does that make sense? So Jason, remember I said maybe you're at a point where you need to start investing a little bit into your business, and you're watching that model a little bit, and you might only be spending, because you get referrals or whatever, you might only be at 20%, and you're actually starving yourself. You're starving your business because it needs to be funded. Somebody like, there's people who often ask me to review their P&Ls. He's a top agent at the Lake of the Ozarks. And I'm like, you really want me to see all your money? And they're like, yeah, you need help, right? So she comes up to me, and we have lunch. She's looking at this, and I'm like, you makes a ton of money, like so much money. And it's all just sitting there. And she was closer to 15%. Big team. And I said it, almost said her name. Hey, you're starving your business. Because you owe it to the people that are on your team to be spending a certain amount of money. Or else they're going to bounce from your team. We have to be good stewards of this. And we need to be focusing on that. You're building a business back there. You need to be making sure that you're spending the kind of money on it, but not too much, 30%. Because you have to lead with revenue. All right?
Is that what you would say would help make it repeatable? You know, like it doesn't feel like this, you know, 1 year is a lucky year, or just happen to be lucky, you know, you're putting 30% in, and like that's what helps it be repeatable year over year, if you're investing that money.
Well, yeah, you're being a responsible business owner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to be repeatable, you follow that GPS on that top five, those top five things. If you want a very boring, consistent business with units growing every single year, you're never going to stop on those 10 calls, or you're never going to stop on those 10 follow-ups, because whatever you do today will result 60 to 90 days from now.
Yeah.
So if you want to go hungry and you got millions of dollars closing right now, stop and go spend it. Because 90 days from now, you won't have anything. Because you're not continuing the activities. That's what creates a roller coaster ride in businesses, especially for real estate.
I think that's where I typically struggle is, you know, getting started. I know that it's not gonna be fruitful for me for, you know, 3 months, 3 to 4 months. So a lot of times I get focused on the now, you know, I got things to take care of now. I don't wanna have to focus on what's gonna be fruitful for me 4 months ago. It's hard for me to see 4 or 5 months in the future. So I think that's where I get held up as far as like daily, you know, going, I'm gonna make these 10 conversations because these 10 conversations are gonna be fruitful for me in 6 months. You know, I have clients right now who I need to be looking for, or I have inspection notices, you know, I have things that can produce for me next month, you know. Why am I gonna put this time, I'm gonna have it go 6 months from now?
So how would you coach yourself after listening to what I've said?
I mean, it sounds like you just gotta do it. Sounds like you gotta do it if you wanna be able to. Yeah, you gotta take money, so.
Yeah, man, like, you gotta do it consistently, or you're not gonna have any money. Like, what is it, like, we don't have a salary paid position. So we have to grind this out every single day. But it's not that hard because I'm only asking for 2 hours. What are you gonna do with the rest of the time? Knock out the things that are so monotonous and annoying to you in your first 2 hours. And then go about your day and pretend like you're a badass real estate agent until you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go be looking at properties. Go look, go get as many properties as you want. Be in the way of good things to happen. Go out there. You ever just been in a property and just start to feel a little bit more motivated? You're like, oh yeah, yeah. You don't have anything going on. And then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
Your energy changes and stuff like that, and your phone call rings and you got good energy and you sell it right then. We just gotta keep that going. Your first 2 calls of the day are the hardest. You get through those 2 and it creates a snowball, and then all of a sudden you've got 8 more and you knock it out. Then your follow-up is easy because that's where your money lives. You do your follow-up phone calls and that feels nice because you know that they're about to say yes for you asking for the business of looking at the property at 2 o'clock, or does 4 o'clock work better for you today? Those kind of closing lines.
Quick question.
Sure, Justice, as many as you need, bud. Yeah.
I love it. Getting to know what you do. For those phone calls, you know, when you're starting out for your team, you have like a database telling you which 10 phone calls to make, or are you scrambling around through your contacts to make those 10 phone calls?
You owe yourself a We're so in the weeds, Justice. Yeah, no, I love it. If it's valuable to you guys, then I may have to come back and show you guys the rest of these models, because these, like, we may be 10% of these slides. Okay. Everybody should have on their calendar time blocks for organization for their database or their call week. So my agents will set aside time from 9 to 11 to be lead gen, but their 8 to 9 is call prep to make sure that they have everything ready for that 9 to 11 lead gen. That's why the new system is block out 3 hours for lead generation. All right, so your 8 to 9, you better have your stuff organized. Or Sunday night, organize your week. Monday, I'm gonna be making these FSBO calls as these new owners. So these are the 10 calls I'm gonna make. So these for sale by owners, I'm gonna knock out on Monday because these are the ones that suck, and I'm gonna get through them first.
Gotcha.
All right. Tuesday, I'm gonna call expired listings because this market is tough and the inventory is increasing. Is yours?
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit. So inventory is increasing. Well, guess what? That's the easiest market to sell. Because you start to get listing after listing, then you get lead after lead because these expires are happening and it snowballs. Tuesday, I'm gonna knock out my expires. Wednesday hits. I'm gonna tackle Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, my sphere of influence, and I'm gonna hit them like nobody's ever heard. There's a difference between calling and saying, how are you doing, Justice? And then saying, hey, guess what? I need some business today. Are you willing to sell your property if I can make you X? So you go through your database and you figure out, if I'm coaching you, which I haven't earned the right to, I'm just saying, like, as an example. 4 years ago, of everybody that's purchased, I'm gonna do free CMAs of all those people who have purchased 4 years ago. Because what happened in our market 4 or 5 years ago versus now? So I'm gonna provide them a comparative market analysis for free, and they don't even know what's coming. I'm gonna send it to their email, and I'm gonna say, here's what's happening with this. And this is how much your property is appreciated. And I remember you said, blah, 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 blah. You can make $140,000 if I do this from now. Interest rates are now finally low enough for us to make this work. We're gonna have buying power on the next side. Let's upgrade. You ready? Here's how much your property is worth. So you send them the email, you follow it up with a phone call. That's a really nice day of knocking crap out. You're probably gonna end up with 5 listings. All you needed to have was 2 in the entire month. What are you gonna do with the rest of your month? You know what I mean? Like, those are a lot of different ways to be able to get business.
On our team, obviously you have your call list, right? You're trying to filter who we go by 30, 60, 90-day buyers. That's how we'll categorize, so we know where to put our time.
Yeah. Let's go. We do the same thing for every year. Right? Because every market's different in every year. So 2020 buyers are all in the same category. And I know I'm gonna have that on Wednesday, so I'm gonna knock that out. I'm gonna put together 10 CMAs every single day until I get through the entire list. Does that make sense?
Thank you for answering.
Yeah. I don't even know where we are. What do you guys want to talk about? Okay. This is how you become a millionaire real estate agent. Okay, this is the model for it. And it should be in your packet, all right? So gross commission income, $1 million, right? Net income, $390,000. So if I make $1 million, technically, Mike, I'm at $390,000 in profit. Because it's different whenever you are a single agent, or Jason, you and your wife doing this, you can become a millionaire real estate agent and actually have somewhere closer to 600,000 in net profit if you wanted to. This is just the model. Because Jason and his wife may be able to want to build this together. And they don't want a full team of people. They only want to do it themselves. So they want to work their butts in the ground, right? But they want to get to the $1 million. And they're ready to do it for each other because they have a plan of 5 years from now, they're going to just be done. So we're going to knock this out real hard for 5 years. You can get a higher net depending on how hard you want to work. The idea of the model is having leverage in your life to be able to have more of a full life for a longer period of time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. All right, so in case you're ever wondering, this is the path to become a millionaire real estate. When you guys look at this, does anybody like almost black out a little bit? Does that understand? You understand it a little bit? 60% of buyers sold, 40% of listings sold, 58 sellers needed, 87. If you break this down, it is really simple, but just it's a little bit daunting looking at the entire thing. So because I felt that way, we only used the CGI. Because I know in 5 years, if I want to be that millionaire real estate agent, I have to be on track for hitting $200,000 this year. So all I need, after breaking it down, is one appointment every single doggone week. And we went through to prove that, right? Mm-hmm. I would rather go off of one appointment. I only have one job this week, and that's finding that one appointment. We've gone through a lot of different ways, than to be looking at this and try to build a business plan all over again. Do you agree? Mm-hmm. So I had to simplify that and just chase that one appointment. Yes, you might go on an appointment where you only make $2,000 in commissions versus $7,500, but the idea is that it will average out. Cool? Cool. Action, ahas. Any ahas on this? What do we take away from this? Give me a break for 1 second while you guys talk.
I think it was a good breakdown. It helps you put it in bite-sized chunks to understand it better. You know, you ask if anybody blacked out. There's a lot of information on the page.
Sure.
However, what it does is it allows you to look at it and digest it versus looking at the whole elephant and thinking you gotta eat it once.
Appreciate that. You're probably gonna sell a lot of real estate.
I hope I am.
Let's go. Anybody else?
I'm not gonna get there on my own. I'm gonna have to change and grow to attract what I want to attract. And to that, I can grow to that. So what I've been doing up to this point is great. It's fine. Got money in the bank. It's all good. But I want to go to the next, and I can't do it on my own. So I have to grow, and I have to start over. I feel like I have to start over to grow.
Why do you feel that way?
In case I miss something, like my son's getting his license, and I feel like, am I gonna be able to teach it right, or is he gonna be able to implement it? And I kind of have high expectations. It's like, I gotta put that in check. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I gotta get, yes.
You're like Jamie, just like what you said, whenever it's you and you're deep down in it, it's so cloudy. And it's easy for somebody like me or like you to be able to go like, we could jump up to 30,000 foot views so quickly and just be like, hey, you're looking at it this way, let's do this. Like, that's why I decided to not try to do all this crap myself. Like first of all, it's boring, in my opinion. I want that stimulation. And I like doing, like, there's pros and cons, of course, but I like doing it together with everybody. There's some energy about that I like. Doesn't mean that you would. And Jason, you might just think it's something really nice for you and your wife to be able to build your vacation, or not your vacation, your retirement together. As you're using it as a tool to be able to do what you're really passionate about with the music career, or whatever that is. And I don't know a lot about you, but just me projecting my thoughts, but like whether you want to do it by yourself, Tom, whether you want to do it with a team, there's models for every situation. And that's really why I was brought to Branson. And I really boxed this up because we're not even digging into any of the models. What I will tell you is this. If you just follow your appointment goals, you'll make more money than you've ever made. Do you trust me on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what the hell else matters? See what I'm saying?
I think that's, you hit the nail on the head right there. There's tons of models of breakdowns for numbers and like the blackout. Yeah, the blackout screen. But it's so simplistic just to make an appointment. Just hit your appointment goal. The big question is that I think everyone's just like hanging on the edge of the seat is how to get the appointment. And you touched on that, done a great job nailing that thing around, but that's what we're all like craving for.
Have you guys ever been? Yeah, no, I completely get it because I was in your shoes. And that's why I didn't like any of the BS that anybody was in front of me on, you know what I mean? You can tell I'm a little bit cynical and I'm growing, okay? But have you guys ever been to like a lead gen class? We're talking more about lead gen on this strategic business planning clinic than we are anything else, because that's what you guys want to talk about. And I love talking about what you want to talk about. It's actually what I'm best at is lead gen. Maybe you focus just on that. Like, hey, we can go into this, we can just kind of do this together. Let's go through scenarios, right? Like, that's what I would want if I were you. Show me how you would have this FISBO call. Did you guys get value out of that? You know what I mean? Like me and Justice sit up in the front of the room and we just go like, here, Andy, I want to hear how you're doing this. Or Justice, I want to hear how you're doing this. You guys, there are those. You ever been to script masters? Holy crap. You know what I mean? At different levels. And you guys just take little bits and pieces away and then you go use that. You try to soak it all in and you're not going to do any of it, right? Take little things of each section. But if you only take away those 4 conversations that you should be having in your business, you're going to be so much more successful. You're going to blast through a ceiling. Carolyn, if you can trust for a moment to let go of certain things like we all have to do and realize that you may not be the best at everything. It's hard to imagine. And hire somebody that matches what you're not the best at. Find their strength, find their genius. Then all of a sudden you're going to blast through that ceiling. All right, so can we keep on going a little bit? We're at lead generation model. All right. Have we good business plan, organizational model, systems? We haven't made it to the organizational model yet. That CGI sheet is a system. That GPS is a business model. You guys understand that? All right. You hear everybody in this company talk about systems and models. You don't realize that you're operating on one constantly. You just need to be a little bit more purposeful with it. All right. So Mike, is there anything else that you're wanting to get out of this before we skip on? Anybody else? Anybody?
No, let's go ahead and move forward.
Let's move forward. All right. Ooh. Money intensive, passive, long-term results. This is the marketing. This is my least favorite thing. Jason, I absolutely hate this. Hate. See if I can find it because the screen's cut off. I want to tell you guys why. I shouldn't say hate. You guys like, who likes marketing? Carolyn? Love it? Lori? All right. Jason, I imagine you'd be pretty good at that kind of stuff with you like to be out. You guys? Yeah. What are we not saying?
I see.
Can't hear me?
Looking the other way.
Can't hear you. All right. So the reason why I don't like it is it's not just because I'm so weak at it. Like I'm the world's worst. I can sit down with you and make you understand how you're going to make money on a property. I can get your business, I can have you sign a contract, I can provide you value and the best customer service, can do all of those kind of things. But sitting down in front of my database or marketing is not my genius. That makes sense? So it takes energy away from me. So what do I have to do, Carolyn?
Leverage somebody who's.
Yes, that's right. So I had to go with somebody because I sit with budgets and numbers. So I partnered with another $30 million business. And together, because I found somebody that was the best at it in our entire market. And I felt as though I was the best at running systems in our market. We put it together and hopefully we don't come crashing down. All right, but that was the idea. Money intensive, passive, long-term results. What does money intensive mean on the marketing side of things? Yeah. And if you know anything so far, what you're listening to me, you know how conservative I am, and I hate spending money. I do, Tom. I hate it. I like a model to be able to like, hey, you have to spend this. It's passive. What does that mean?
You're not getting a direct promise, right?
Yeah. Another thing that gets on my nerves. You just have to sit back and wait. There's too many agents in this business that sit back and wait for the business to come to them instead of going out and getting it. You guys understand that? Long-term results? What's that mean?
Patience. You're gonna see it later, you're not gonna see it right away.
That's what I like about it. Because once you have spent enough money and done it consistently enough, you have your branding out, you have your faces everywhere. You guys are on billboards, Jason, probably, like, I don't know, whatever you guys are, you're spending money on, eventually, over time, it's going to work. It's just that can you stay in business and lead with revenue long enough to be able to having that happen? The next line, see that little dotted line? Time intensive. This is prospecting. Time intensive, what's that mean?
It's a lot of time.
All right, proactive, immediate results. The other ones are immediate results. It's Nathan.
Is that in our flyer?
I didn't see it. No.
You don't have them.
Okay.
It's not in there? This is just sent to me, by the way, and then I like teach it. So I don't know what's in there or not.
You did great.
Thanks, man. Okay, so knocking on doors, picking up the phone, going after it, calling your database, calling your referrals that you have had over the years. That is prospecting and that's aggressive prospecting, right? Does it cost us money?
No.
No. That's what they're kind of getting across. When you're starting in this business, I would encourage you to focus on the lead generation side of prospecting, not on the marketing side of prospecting. And it is very hard because you want to tell everybody what you're doing. We want you to tell everybody what you're doing, but do it in economic ways. Social media is a nice tool now because you can tell everybody what you're doing. Putting yourself on a billboard that costs $2,000 a month is a good way to go out of business until you've earned the right to be able to do that. All right. I don't have anything against billboards, but you haven't sold any real estate yet. In my opinion, you haven't earned the right to be put on a billboard, in my opinion. All right. 82% of your business comes from 4 sources or less. You think that that's true?
I would say probably yes.
Well, they've done a lot of research. I can tell you from me, you guys always say, hey, I don't care about this. Andy, tell me about you. Well, our business is coming from less than that. So the way that we built our company, our numbers were 87% of our business was coming from our sphere of influence. You understand what that means? Yeah. And there was times in which we were spending so much money last year and the year before just to make our agents happy. Do you know what I mean by that? Like make our agents happy, like, oh, we better be showing them that we're paying a bunch of money to Zillow so that they know that they get a bunch of deals happening and we were doing that only for them
but I wasn't being a good steward of the company's money. Does that make sense? Yeah. Even though I had it in the budget, we started tracking a little bit better. And we realized, what if we take all of this money, because there is a model, remember there's a model for everything you guys couldn't even imagine. I have a responsibility of spending $240,000, which is 10% of my gross commission income on just lead generation. It's part of the 30% expenses. Even the expenses are broken out on what percentage you should spend, right, Carolyn? Right, so I have a responsibility to spend that. What if I took all $240,000 and spent it on my sphere of influence? Well, we just proved that 87% of my business comes from my sphere of influence. So I sat down with my agents and I said, look, this is so stupid. You guys are getting like 6 units a year out of 140 on this, or 150. Let's do it this way. You know what I mean? And without these models, I wouldn't have had the ability to be able to do that. Does that make sense? I believe that the majority of your business is going to come from your sphere of influence. Then our other was referrals, like you're dealing with, right? And then at that point, it would just be like, I think that we had some Zillow things and stuff like that I wasn't a very big fan of. All right, does that make sense? Like, it was such a small number, but 87% is a big number of all of the units that we're doing in just our database, people that we already knew. So that's where we got to be focused, right? That's a pretty good stat. I think that you guys would take something away from this. You guys ever heard of the funnel? All right. So we have a plan, right? So every time you're looking at that GPS plan, and you need to spend a little bit more time on it, Mike, what you're doing is you're constantly going through trying to put as many people into your funnel as possible. The problem with that is a lot of times we'll have generic phone calls just to try to get a phone number and an email to get them into our database, to add them to our funnel. And we're not trying to provide them value, or we're not asking for the business. There are better ways that we can do it. All right. So try to get as many people into your funnel as possible, which is lead capture. Then you have leads. Then we have contacts, and we have nurtures. Does anybody have any questions on that? You guys said you heard of the funnel, so we can kind of move past it. If you guys have any questions? No? Carolyn, we're starting to approach some time limits here. All right, TCPA and DNC. All right. Ooh, this is a valuable sheet. I think that this is in your packet.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. So how do you know about your conversion rates? We haven't talked about that. All I did for you, Tom, is I said, hey, let's try to come up with a business plan together. Let's try to come up with the ways to call 10 people every single day, 10 follow-ups every single day, lead gen through open houses and door knocking and all of it, right? But we got to track all of the people that were called. Yes. With me? Because 30 days from now, we're going to have called 200 people. You're going to take that 200 people by the amount of appointments that you've set out of those 200 people. Right? Everybody with me so far? We're real estate agents, we can do that simple of math. I believe it. All right. 200 calls, 50 a week, right, to the new people, divided by the number of appointments that we set. So let's say we set 2. How many people do we need to call every single week in order to be able to get that one appointment? We have 200 people. And in 1 month, we've made 200 phone calls in 1 month. We got 2 appointments out of those 200 people. Stick with me here, guys. You know it's after it's 2 o'clock feeling. How many people do we need to call in order to get 1 appointment? 100 people. 100 people. So I might need to take my goals up. If I have to get 1 appointment a week, then I need to call 100 people. You see how to come up with that? Because your conversations may not be on par yet. They may not be strong enough because you haven't gone through enough classes
and practice enough and call enough people to be able to be the best. So it may take you 100 people before you get that one appointment. But all you have to do is get that one appointment a week for you to make 200 grand. So what are we worried about? I'll call 100 people. Are you guys uncomfortable with hearing 99 no's before you get the one yes? Yes?
Yeah.
It's okay to say yes. It's a lot of no's. It's a lot of no's. So what would you do if you wanted to be able to only call 50 people and get the one appointment? 0.5. Be better? How do we get better? Practice. You guys with me on that? But that's what you're gonna need to know. How many contacts needed to achieve the goal of my economic model? Well, now we have a model for it. You guys understand? You're gonna have to track how many people you're actually calling and the conversations you're having so that you can figure out what your conversion rate is. And if you figure out what your conversion rate is, then you know, hey, you know what? I'm on 98, I'm about to get to my appointment. You know what I mean? Or I'm on 48, I'm about to get to that appointment. What happens if we get the appointment on call number 2? Keep going, right? Keep knocking those out, because now I've gotten 5 appointments. I'm set for the entire month, but I'm gonna keep going because I need to track you might go for a month without getting the right business and the right appointments. Keep it going. Don't set yourself up for that. Action around that. Carol, I'm probably gonna have to come back.
No, that's fine. I'm sure y'all would come back to a class if they would do another one, right?
Yeah.
And they've got a lot to process right now.
Yes, they do. We were in it. We probably got halfway through. What I need to do, organization model wise. I have 2 hours of drive time.
I'll come up to
If you want to call me or anything like that, I'd be happy to take the call.
Okay, great.
All right? If anybody wants my phone number, let me know. All right? I'd be happy to take a call. This stuff is just gonna take action. Everybody in here knows how to do that. All right? Everybody in here. Take action. We sit there and try to figure out what could go wrong, we won't do anything.
And it's the best time of the year, guys, to sit down, prepare this and plan this. Because people they're home more during the winter, they'll take your calls more, and you can make a lot of times, more contacts. And to set you up for next year. Andy, what would you say, one of the biggest mistakes agents make when they get a contract?
Well, they stop regenerating.
That's right, you forget to generate it, and you go through that contract, and you get that check, and they go, oh, wait, I don't have any business. Because you spent all of your time and energy on that contract, and you've got to keep doing what you do every day to have the next deal, and to have the next deal. I see it all the time, and agents get into business, and I did it personally. I'm like, oh, I've got this goal, and I'm gonna make this check, and we all know money's not there till you close the deal. We've had people die the night before closing, and there's all kinds of things that can happen. So continue to do what you do, so that you're always filling that pipeline, and you'll have the business.
Are there any, before we wrap it up? Any ahas, the things that you're gonna take away, action items, anything like that? I want 3 if we can before we all kind of take off.
Consistency is gonna be very important to hit the numbers.
What's that?
Consistency.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Discipline, sticking to what you put in your calendar. Always easy.
Ooh, I love that calendar talk. It is difficult. No, I do. I love the calendar. If we don't have our lead generation in the calendar for sure, if you guys all can't look at your phone and tell me where your lead generation time blocks are in your calendar, then you got nothing from this. I wouldn't even leave those chairs until you blocked off some sort of consistency with what you're gonna do every day around lead generation. Everything from there will get better, trust me. Make sure that you understand that it's the most important thing that you can do in your day regarding this. Anything else? Need one more.
Once we broke everything down, it's much more achievable. The picture gets a lot more solid, a lot more clear. The font starts to leave.
Agreed. Yeah, it's not as daunting to know that you guys only have to go on 1 appointment a week. And I think that is so achievable. I think that it's just kind of like, think you can do more. We have to go on 31 a month. 31 appointments a month. And back then it was just like, okay, well, there's no way that that's possible. Do you see how it continues to scale? If you guys do this and you build the business this way and you start at this mark and you're following the CGI and the 4 conversations and the GPS, you can scale your business to whatever level that you want. Even in your packet where it talks about how to become a millionaire with net income, forget about that for a minute. Focus on what we just went through. Use this as your personal goal. Stretch yourself, get to $200,000 in net income this year. I think that that's a really good 2025 goal. And then build on it from there. Sound good?
Yep, thank you.
Is AJ this plan?
Yeah, AJ.
No, AJ.
Yeah.
I have some blank GPSs I put in on here, wrote on here, and you want another one just to work on them. I know I always mark mine out every time.
Any more fun things?
For me.
Your GPS.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, so I'm doing one this weekend over at 165 Blossom on Saturday.
Okay.
Mhm.
Saturday.
And,
Like noonish or?
yeah, I'm doing 12 to 2. Yeah. What?
So.
You did, thank you.
Man, I
It's
cannot
all that
believe
I
it,
heard
right?
is
It's
so
2 months.
important.
It's not. Yeah. If I'm 60 days, then I haven't. The lead generation. So priority number 1, and number 2, this is important, but not until you see on your top. Right, so here's where I would break it down. It's priority number 1 and priority number 2, is your top 20%. Okay, once you finish with your top 20%, you've earned the right to be able to go into the areas like you're really, there's some things about these areas that make me excited. Right?
Thank you.
So for us, thank you, Lori. It's nice to meet you.
You too.
For us, these are the things that we have to earn the right to get to. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that we want, we feel bad because we're new agents and we're so excited that we want to shout into the mountaintop in our.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, hey, I want that, I want to be on that building, I want to do this or whatever. But we have to earn the right to get there. So my opinion, or whatever it's about, is these are the only things that you should focus on. Like you've done that throughout the day. It made me want to talk before you. Right, it made me to a client. Right. Don't buy coaching. And you're on my team. I'm gonna say, hey, if you're done with these at 1 o'clock, you're not. Okay, because this, in 90 days, you should be lead generating. Because you've done that in 60 days, you're gonna be doing something. Learning from that, which will give you action growth from your generation. So we're generic. But without this, too many people fall out of the business.
Right.
That's where my focus is on. Okay?
Absolutely.
I hope that I didn't.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, there's just like, a lot. to be excited about.
There's so much to be excited about, but there's so many shiny objects.